now. I think I'm going to get a picture. But I was asked to come out here and talk to you guys a little bit about millennials and what they're up against in today's market, and some of the frustrations and maybe bad information they might have. How many of you guys have had a millennial out and they're worried that there's going to be another crash? They're worried about it's 2005 all over again. Because guess who went through that? Their parents. Their parents may have had a foreclosure or something. So we're going to look at that and see also where we can try to help them ease their concerns, especially when it comes to purchasing real estate right about now, whether or not they should go buy an RV, according to Jeff, who I had a conversation with earlier. And oh, thank God. So any minute now, we're going to see, we can go ahead and get started and find out where they are. So first of all right, let's figure out who they are first. Apparently nobody can really agree on this. So if you go anywhere online and try to figure out what the birth dates are for the millennial population, apparently Harvard thinks that they're somewhere between 1984 and 2004. Strauss and Howe think that they're 1982 to 2004. I decided to go with the Pew Research Center. They say 1981 to 1997 because I like the age group of 20 to 36. I don't really think we need to be talking about 13-year-olds right about now in terms of how the housing market is. But first of all, they don't like to be defined, do they? Don't tell me how I am. I'm unique, like everyone else. And just so you know, I'm Generation X, and my parents talk about me just like we talk about them. I think that part goes on and on and on. But first of all, let's talk about where they are. When it comes to demographics, first of all, when you start hearing analytics about age groups buying real estate, you have to understand that that is an estimation at best. There's no way to link all residential real estate sales to an age group. Can everybody guess why? Fair housing, for one. We don't like to, all of that. People like to decide, I don't want to live in those areas where there are certain types of people. So for reasons like that, we don't have an age or a birth date that is publicly available when somebody purchases a piece of property. Not only that, but you have not just individuals purchasing property, but LLCs purchasing, and you don't always know the age groups of those. So what we are doing here today is we're looking at where they were in 2015, because that's probably the best demographic data we have right now for the Phoenix metropolitan area. This comes from the Maricopa Association of Governments. And also, the people who do demographics don't always track generations, they track age groups. So we're not going to be exactly sure on all of these. But what I can tell you is, according to this particular demographic viewer, those people ages 20 to 24 years are miraculously right around ASU. So, and all of these little light boxes, they're kind of scattered around. Usually, you can find them in inexpensive apartment complexes or with their parents. So in this particular case, we're not going to focus on the 20 to 24-year-olds right now, but we can see a little bit of a definition when we come to the 25 to 34 years old. And again, because the Pew Research Center says that they're between 20 and 36, and this is 2 years old, this is where they were 2 years ago. So I figure we're in good shape. We'll try to figure out where they are, where they're going. But one of the things, too, is you can kind of see the darkest areas are where we have a 20% or more density of ages 25 to 34 years old. Now, they could be renting, they could have purchased a home, or they could be with their parents. All I know is that this is where they are at this point. And this is where their parents are, their grandparents are. 62 years or older, you can definitely see this is all Scottsdale, a lot of East Mesa, Sun City, not surprisingly, Sun Lakes, not surprisingly, a little bit of retirement communities in Ahwatukee, so you can see where they are. But when you look at these two, can you kind of see a demarcation? So, oops, north. And where are these guys moving in? These are 62 and older, but if you kind of go a little bit lower in age, like 50, where are these people now moving? Into downtown Phoenix, have you noticed that? They're kind of coming into South Scottsdale. They're kind of coming into this area where the younger population has been and where real estate has typically been more affordable. So what is that creating for people? they're getting ticked off. They're like, hey, don't bring your luxury condos here. I still want to live here. This is where, in general, I try to make a nice little shape for you to see where exactly these guys are. And you can kind of see this is Arcadia. They're not in Arcadia proper. They're south of Arcadia, going west of Arcadia. They're south of Camelback Road, this downtown area. They're also way in South Phoenix, along 60, in Chandler, coming out here into Queen Creek, Canal side, Queen Creek, and also coming out onto the west side. So you can kind of see where their main spots are. So take a kind of a look at that shape, and then look at where our zip codes are that are between 1 and 300,000. I'm not so sure that that is an odd coincidence, that this shape especially matches a lot of the under 200 is the light blue, over 200 to 300 is in the dark blue. And see this little spot in Gilbert here? That, just a few months ago, was dark blue. It's now gone into an average sale price over 300,000. And look at, there's a nice little block right here where they're not going. So I think that it's pretty easy to kind of tell where they're finding their residences. And it's also not a big coincidence that this is where all the frenzies are. This is the 100 to 300 price range. All of the darkest ones are where we have literally more in escrow than what's active for sale in terms of supply. The near dark ones, we have 3 levels of hot, by the way, in our market: hot, hotter, and frenzy. These are just the hotter and frenzy markets. And this is I-17 coming in here, and this is the 60 coming in here. This is the 202 loop. So coming out into Queen Creek, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, all except maybe East Mesa is dark, 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 dark. South Tempe, no. Powhatan, no. Again, where are all of the 62 and older? Here. So again, you can kind of start to feel the pain for your millennial buyer right now. So when it comes to finding a listing, they're finally ready. They've saved up their 3.5%, and they're ready to go buy a house. This is the pain and suffering they're going to endure. First of all, we are down in supply. When you look at, this is our normal supply line. Typically, we increase in the first quarter. We start to grow in our supply. Get ready for all the buyers to come in, then our supply starts to decline when all the buyers start buying up the real estate, and then we bottom out in the summer, and then we start to grow again in late September and October. That is typical seasonal activity. This year, we just kind of went a little bit up and then started to go down. We really never had that nice influx of new listings. We had an influx of new listings, but our buyers were buying them up too fast for us to actually get any kind of accumulation going. When we look at our market by price point, if this is where your first-time home buyers are, we're down 34%. We never actually fluctuated high. We just came right out of the gate and went down. And the 200 to 400, and also in the 200 to 300, we're down 8% in this price point. In the 200 to 300 range, we're down 7%, so I just left it up as it is. And you can kind of see why, if you've got buyers over 400, the world is pretty much their oyster. Over 600,000, we're not seeing any big change in supply. And in terms of buyer activity, all of these price points we're seeing increased buyer activity, but this one in particular, under 200, is the most restricted. So, can't find a resale. So let's just keep calm. Let's go into the new home market, see what we've got going on there. Well, again, we're going to see a little more pain and suffering for your first timer. These blue bars here, those are home sales under 200,000. The light orange is between 200,000 and 300,000. The dark orange here is between 3 and 5, and the green is over 5. So in Maricopa County, if that's where they want to live, most of the new homes are focusing on the 3 to 500 range, and they're very big. And they have some, a little bit of increase in the 275 to 3, if your first-time home buyer has a little bit of help. But for the most part, if they want something closer to their budget, 250 and under, they're going to go out to Pinal County. And, we'll see how that goes. So not everybody wants to live out there, but it is becoming quite popular. They're also quite frenzied out in Maricopa, the town of Maricopa and Casa Grande right now. So, let's just keep coming and find a like new home. Now, who's doing the like new homes? Flip investors. So these are our flips for between January 2017 and April 2017. You can see that the flip investors have been focusing very strongly on the 100 to 300 market, and this is the market that's being neglected by your new home construction. So As a result, if they are wanting a like new home that they don't need to do any kind of repairs to, most likely you're going to be showing them a flip. And if you want to know what they look like, they're gray, apparently. All of them are gray. Maybe black and white, but mostly gray. And so they're really easy to spot in the MLS. And when you look at these are all of our flips between, again, January through April of this year so far, and you can kind of see where they've been focusing. Definitely all along in here, I'll just tell you that most of the highest percentages for gain in dollar and percentage gain has been along here in the Southeast Valley between Main Street and 60, and a lot in Chandler, a lot in South Phoenix, but mostly all up in this area. My little pointer's kind of dim on here, but all up the I-17 into the central area. So if you look at where most of them are going, you can kind of see the pattern that they're following here. And these are all the flips sold between $100,000 and $300,000. So you can pretty much see that that's where the supply is coming for your first-time home buyers at this point, because there's just no new construction. And because of the cost to acquire for flip investors, they have now come down. Their median size used to be 1,685 square feet in 2012. Now the median size for a flip home between 1 and 3 is 1,550. So again, they're going for the smaller homes. The flip investors are, because the new homes are building mostly large homes. And I remember what it was like when I was in my early 30s. I didn't want a large home. I had to buy furniture for that. That's expensive. And so finally, you get to a place where you're clear to close. You found something, you're getting ready to close. And this is where we have some good news for you. Overall, so far, Metropolitan Phoenix, we're at 9% in MLS sales following 2016. In each price point, you'll see that we're up. We're down 8%, under 200,000, but that's because you can't buy what isn't for sale. So it's very difficult to increase your sales under 200 if you're not increasing your listings under 200. But between 2 and 4, and pretty much everything over 2 is up about 20 to 25%. And that's good for you guys. It means for residential real estate agents, you guys are making more commissions. For all of the support services like title, inspections, lending, all of that, those people who work on volume, this is very good for the industry as a whole. So, but it is very sad for people. So finally, this is where we come up with the, is this a bubble again? As we're starting to look a little bit like 2005, and for people who had parents who went through it, or boomerang buyers coming back from it, saying, oh, I already had a foreclosure, and they asked me to pay over appraisal, and now they want me to pay over list again. You might start to feel that way. And there are some similarities to 2005. For one, we had an excellent May. This last May, we were the second best since 2001. I'm sorry, that's 2004. 2004. Also 2001, just so you know. It goes way back. But as you can see here, the light blue are short sales, red are foreclosures, and gray is HUD. So in 2011, which is this one right here, that was a completely different market. Do you remember that? Back in 2011, things like electricity and plumbing and kitchens were kind of optional. The walls sometimes were optional. Equipment, the livability of the home wasn't so great. But when we look at it, by taking out all of the distress that we've dealt with, we had the second best only to 2005 in terms of normal resales. So that's where some of the people are starting to feel like this is feeling like a frenzy again. However, one of the things that we have noticed is people are, in order to justify this expectation that we're like 2005, they're looking at the number of closings in a day or less on the MLS. And we did see a spike, 265 of them right here. We did see a little spike, but it is nowhere near, this 265 is nowhere near the over 1,000 in 1 month that we had in 2005. That is insane. We are more like 2012 and 2013, but we're still different from that because who are these guys? Investors paying cash. And so investors who pay cash don't care about appraisals, do they? When you have people who don't care about appraisals so much and are willing to pay the extra money beyond what the appraiser says it's worth, then you're going to have massive price appreciation at that point. But in this column, these people are generally very concerned about appraisals. They don't generally want to pay more than what the bank or the appraiser says it's worth. So even though we are seeing a little spike, it's not necessarily a spike that's going to tell us that everything on the market is flipping in like a day. This is the second one that is starting to grow as well. These are your actual listings that have sold over list price. So one of the things to know is that this right now is only 16% of all of our sales, compared to 39% of all of our sales in 2005, and approximately 25 to 30% of all of our sales through 2009 through 2013. Again, all of this investor activity for the most part. This is not entirely investor activity. This is probably less than 80%. I'm sorry, less than 20% of investor activity. But 20% of all of our sales, between 100 and 300,000, went for over list. So 20%. So 80% went at list or below. But those 1,297 of sales between 100 and 300 that sold for over list make up 82% of this number. Does that make sense? So of all of these that went for over list, 82% of them were between 100 and 300,000. So that's where your pain and suffering is for your millennial buyer. And that's why, that's their price point. So that's why they're getting worried. Because their parents are saying, don't do that, that's really scary. Which, I can see how it's scary. But this gradual increase is nowhere near as scary as this one. Is it? This 1,500 in 2004, May of 2004 to 3,700, 39% of all sales in all price ranges going over list. So this, while yes, it is something that we're noticing, this is not something that we consider a precursor to any subsequent crash. There's nothing necessarily alarming about this at this point. So that brings us to our price trends. And now we'll get into affordability. So prices are going up. Can we afford this? Well, first of all, our prices have not been going up at nearly the rate of 2005. Do you guys remember 2005? You buy at 100,000, in 12 months it's worth 145,000. That's a little crazy. And even in this area, at 29% between 2012 and 2013, within a 6-month period, you're not selling the same house, are you? Especially in Arcadia, you buy an older home, 1,500 square feet, maybe 1,000 square feet, scrape it to the ground, build something that's 2,500 square feet, and resell it in 6 months. That's what happens here. Or you buy a home that didn't have a kitchen and was barely livable, infested with scorpions, and you make it livable again, and resell it. And that's where you get 29% appreciation. Here, we've seen a 5%, give or take, up or down, for the last 2.5 years. That is not an alarming appreciation rate for us. That is a consistent appreciation rate with a regular old everyday seller's market. And also when it comes to affordability, we want to look at our interest rates. We forget that in 2005, our interest rate was 6.48%. Today, at this particular measure, it was 4.1%. I'm sure you can talk to some lenders and find out what it is today. However, nearly 2.25% is pretty big of a jump on your mortgage payment, is it not? So when you see something like this, you can feel like that is insane for a median sale price to be at $239.9 right now in the second quarter so far of 2017. And our peak was at $262. But when you look at the interest rate in terms of affordability at this point, that's going to be significant. Not only that, but the median sale price is not really a very good indicator of what our appreciation rates are right now, because it's more of a measure of your market share. 50% of our homes sold over $239.9, 50% sold below $239.9. And when you have a shrinking inventory under 200,000, basically the market share over 3 starts to, or over 200, I'm sorry, starts to move it up. So in order for this to move up, 51% of sales next month need to be over $239.9. And is that most likely with the shrinking supply under 200,000 and the shrinking number of sales under 200,000? The better one we like to use is dollar per square foot. When you look at the dollar per square foot, it's still going up, but this rate is actually much more, I guess, I want to say sustainable. It's better than this rate. Between 2004 and 2005, that's what a bubble looks like. This has been going up like this for quite some time. So for those of you who've heard me say this before, if we had fallen asleep in 2003 and pretended that this was one big, long, horrible dream, and woke up here, we would be here anyway if we had followed the normal rate of inflation, which is what a balanced market does. It follows the rate of inflation, which in the long term average is between 2 and 3%. We would have ended up right here. Now the market is always looking for balance. So if there is going to be an adjustment, say it goes over that, we might adjust flat and stay within that range. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying that the market won't change, because we all have to sign those waivers that say the market goes up and down now. Right? I'm not saying that it won't someday shift. However, I will say that I don't believe we're going to have anything like 2008 for a very, very long time. That requires desperate sellers. Desperate sellers who sell at any cost. We don't have that. We have people who want their homes free and clear. If they can't sell it, what do they do? Rent it out, hold on to it, whatever. So at this point, we might see it pop up over, or we might see it start coming back down, or even going flat for a while. But at this point, we don't see anything other than appreciation over the next 3 to 6 months. As long as we are in a seller's market, when the Crawford Market Index is over 110, you can expect an appreciation rate that is greater than the rate of inflation. And right now, our rate of inflation is right around.
Yes.
How is everybody? Is everybody awake? Yes. Please be awake. Okay, good. Because I'm not going to bore you. I promise you will not be bored. Okay. I know that you've all taken a million personality tests, right? The DISC, I'm a lion, I'm a tiger, I'm this, I'm that. So when I start teaching this class, usually when I get there, everyone's like, oh my God, I've already done this. I know what I am. I'm a high D, I'm a high I, I'm a this, I'm that. And there's really no good, the perfect one, but I think if you utilize all of them, it will help you. And help you to understand that we are different. And especially, I always make fun of the yellows because that's what I am, and then I can get away with it. So I will make fun of the yellows out there. And maybe a few Italians, if there's some Italians. I see one there. Of course, Chuck's gone, so I did warn him I was going to do that. So, first of all, I want to thank Fairway for putting on this. Can we just give Fairway a hand? And Mr. Fabulous himself, James. Yes. When he told me that he wanted me to go on first, I thought, wow, he's either really smart or very brave. So I'm going to go with very brave. Thank you for letting me talk. Okay. First of all, when I usually do this, I have everyone take the test, and then after you've taken the test, then I talk about the personalities and where you fit in and stuff like that. But since we don't have the test with us, I'm going to talk about the colors, and then you can kind of decide which color that you are. And if you decide that you like this and you want to do it, then I'll do it for you at some point in your offices or anything like that. I love to do it. It's super fun. And it brings extreme harmony into your workplace. So, let's get started. The color code was brought on by Taylor Hartman. How many of you know about the color code? You taken the test before? Oh, good. So a few of you have. Okay. So Taylor has a philosophy that you're born with your core personality. And any of you women that have had children know that that's the case. Some are just rambling and want to get the hell out of there, and some are just like, I'm just chill, I'm good. I had a son that was 3 weeks late, and he's still exactly the same person. He forgets his shoes. He's 3 weeks late still, okay, maybe 3 hours late. But it's so true. You are born with your core personality. But there are things in your life that happen that bring differences to your color and actually add character to it. So that's one of the things that, especially if you're born into a crazy family like I was. Of course, I was born into an Italian family, and so there may be a tiny bit of swearing, and I'm going to apologize in advance for my potty mouth. But that's one of the things I actually captured from that, which is not a good thing. So, let's break into the colors. First, we're going to talk about the reds. Reds are very dominant. How many of you are reds? Nobody wants to raise their hand. Yay! I love reds. Reds are like a fresh of breath air because they say it like it is. You know exactly where you stand. There is no in between. You just know exactly what's happening. The reds they're motivated by power. And when I say power, I mean you don't want to be the president of the United States or anything like that. Well, maybe you do. But that's not what your motive is. Your motive is how to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So if some of you reds are in here, you're like, why are they starting so late? I got crap to do. I already know this crap. I got to get out of there and sell some homes. So you're super motivated and you have great drive. Their needs are, they need to look good, technically. They need to be right. They need to be respected, and they need approval from only a select few. So if you're doing business and you're dealing with the red, you want to earn their respect. And it's hard to do because they're going to go like this and wait for you to prove yourself to them. Their wants are to hide their insecurities. They want productivity, they want leadership, and they want challenging adventure. So they take a task, they perfect it, and then they want to move on to the next. So if you have a red in if you're dealing with a red in business, what do you think you should do? Anybody have any clues? Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, you need to be on time, and on time to a red is 10 minutes early. It doesn't mean on time. Get there, get prepared. You have to be prepared with the red because they want to know the facts. They don't want to hear your boring story. If you're yellow, they don't want to hear what happened in the kitchen. It would be fabulous. Okay, I'm going to now talk about some of the things to have good relationships with these colors. So, for reds, the best way to treat a red is you must prepare yourself with facts and figures. Present issues logically. Be dressed appropriately. They care about that stuff. They want you to look professional, so make sure that if you're golfing that day, which I usually am, make sure that you are dressed up and cleaned up when you're meeting a red. Articulate your feelings clearly. Reds demand respect. Support their leadership instincts. Support their current decisions. With the red, if you're showing a house, you need to listen to what they're asking you to do, but it has to be their decision. So you can't say, oh, I feel like this is much better for you, which sometimes maybe a blue would think that this home is better, but it's got to be their decision. Okay, offer them leadership responsibilities. And the thing that you are absolutely never, ever, ever, ever supposed to do to a red, this is the worst thing you can do, is embarrass them in front of others. They do not like that. So don't tell jokes. If you're a yellow and you can make fun of yourself and other people and you don't mean anything by it, because we don't, they will not like that. So you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to argue from an emotional perspective. If any of you are married to a red and you start crying and you say, oh, I just, they're not listening to you. They will see you as weak and they won't care that you're crying. Now, blue or white will care. So if you're married to a blue or white, you cry all day. Okay. Let's see. Do not use physical punishment. Again, you can't talk about us adults here. But we'll get back to the childhood stuff. If any of you had a red child, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had one. Well, I have one. He's fabulous. But when they're young, they're like, holy crap, is this kid, what is going on? I'm stressed, I'm tired. He thinks he knows everything about everything. He's so hard. He's always in trouble. I thought my son was either going to be, he's like the catch me if you can guy. I'm like, he's either going to be a millionaire by the time he's 18 or he's going to be in jail. One of the two. But the great thing about a red child is when they're young, it's tough, but when they're older, You don't have to worry about him. He turned 16, yes, he's had 2 jobs ever since he was 16. I could literally stick him on any street corner in any city, and he would have a job and money by the end of the day. So reds are fabulous for that reason. Okay, so do not be slow and indecisive. Do not expect a personal, intimate relationship. They ain't got time for crap. Okay. Don't attack them personally. Don't wait for them to solicit your opinion, because they will just give you your opinion. And don't take their arguments personally. This is very, very important when you're dealing with the red. I had a red father, so there was a better way for everything. I don't know if any of you have had that problem. But if you're doing something and they're showing you an easier way, they think they're helping you, but in turn, sometimes they offend. And because of that, this class teaches you to, if you're red, to tone it down, and if you're another color that's sensitive, you got to buck up a little bit, because they don't mean anything by it. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's talk about the blues. For the best relationship with the blue, you need to allow them to collect their thoughts, take a sensitive approach, demonstrate your sincerity, limit their perceived exposure to risk, help them feel secure in the relationship, promote their creative efforts and ambitions, appreciate them, be loyal, do a thorough analysis, and present all the issues. They want all the details. Okay. So, do not ever do this to a blue. Don't make them feel guilty. This is probably their number one thing that they have 24/7 is guilt, which to me, I have no concept of that. So I have a blue child, and she was always, if I wanted her to do anything, I'd say, or if I didn't want her to do anything, I'd be going out of town, and I'd say, Ashley, that would really disappoint me if you did this. And she's like, never done anything wrong in her life. So they feel guilty all the time. So don't be rude or abrupt. Don't promote too much change. They don't like change. Don't ever abandon them. Don't expect them to bounce back quickly. Blues sometimes have depression because they are perfectionists. And because they're perfectionists, they demand so much of themselves. And it's hard for them. Okay, don't push them into making quick decisions. So if you're showing a house and you've shown them 20, usually wouldn't take that long for a blue, they'll figure it out. But if you show them 20 houses, don't push them. They need time to think about it, digest it. Is this great for my family? Is this going to be okay? Type thing. So give them time. And don't demand action for quick verbal bantering. They don't do that. Okay, let's do the whites. For a best relationship with a white, accept and support their individuality. Create a relaxed atmosphere. Whites don't like crowds. So if you're taking them to Whiskey Row or somewhere, they won't want to go in the first place. They may go because they like you, so definitely don't take them to a place where there's a bunch of people. They don't like that. They want peace. Okay, combine firmness and kindness. Whites don't understand me. They are so nice. They're like the SpongeBobs of the world. They're so sweet. So they don't understand, but because of that, sometimes they're taken advantage of a little bit because of their kindness. So don't ever do that. Show patience and try not to rush them. They don't like to be rushed. In fact, I always tease my husband because he's always early. And early to him is like 30 minutes to an hour early. So if we have to take a flight, to me, as a yellow, it's not fun unless I'm running through the airport. O.J. Simpson style. And it's like a challenge to me to get there right before they close the door. And that drives my husband crazy because he's a white. And I tease him all the time. I'm like, why do you want to hurry up to wait? That makes no sense to me. And then the second the plane stops, he's standing up. I was like, what just just sit down, and when it's your turn, you can go. But they want to be prepared. So definitely be on time. Be open and direct when possible. Look for nonverbal clues to their feelings. Hear them out, listen quietly and carefully. So again, they are the best listeners. So if you're not listening, they'll be able to tell you're not listening. So if they say, I want a house out in Bella Villa, and I want stone on the front, and you take them to a brick 2-story and they want a ranch, they're not going to be very impressed by that. So make sure that you're listening. That's true with every color. You have to listen. And the hardest color for that is yellow. So that's been the hardest thing for me. But I've been doing this for 25 years. So most people, when they first meet me, they're like, wow, you're really quiet. And I'm like, you have no idea. It doesn't really come out till later on when I know I can do that. Because I've learned to control it. And I've actually learned to turn it on when I want to turn it on. In business, if I want to be a red, I can be a red. If I want to be a blue, I can be a blue. So that's what the color code teaches you. It actually just teaches you to build your character. And to me, the best thing about this is it talks about all the faults. And I'll talk about that for a tiny bit in a minute, but it's bad, you think, to look at your faults, but to me it's the best thing. Because what it tells you about our faults is that this is what your color is capable of doing. And some of us have no idea that we're doing this. And so if you're honest with yourself and look at it, go, yeah, okay, I can see me doing that, and then stop doing that, it actually will build your character. And that's the most important thing that I learned through this process. Okay, whites do not like to be rushed. They do not like to be forced. Again, if you are in business and you are showing them homes, don't force a particular home on them. You can give them the advantages of the house, but it needs to be their decision, but you need to help them decide in the proper home. And demand, okay, let's see. You must not demand leadership. Okay. For the best relationship with a white, accept and support their individuality. I already said that, didn't I? Yeah. There goes my squirrel. Okay. Let's talk about yellows. Okay. Let's see. You must do this. Take a positive approach with the yellow, an upbeat approach. Offer praise and appreciation. Accept some playful teasing or joking. That's important to them. So for them to be, if you want to be in with the yellow, you got to be able to accept their teasing. They can't help themselves. Recognize publicly the value of and their enthusiasm and participation. Encourage their verbal self-expression. Remember they are sensitive, more sensitive than they appear. Yellows are very emotional people too. My coworkers have noticed this a few times because yellows are very sensitive, but they're giving, caring people, and we do cry a lot. So, like, I can be watching The Price is Right, and if somebody wins that car, you can bet your ass there's tears. They're coming down. I'm like, they just want a car. So they're very sensitive. Which you don't think that they would be, but they are. So you need to promote their creativity and their activities. So again, if you're showing a yellow a house, you might want to show them a couple houses and maybe take them somewhere. Take them to Topgolf. Hang out with them. Let them have a little bit of fun. That might not be what they like. They might do other things, but let them find out what they like and then take them there. Okay, don't do this to a yellow. Be too serious. Push them too intensely. Ignore them. If you have a yellow child, and like, mom, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy. You definitely have to answer them. They don't want to be ignored. They will not be ignored, actually. They'll tug on you until you turn around. Don't forget that they have downtime. This is something pretty important too, because yellows always seem to be in a good mood, which is true for the most part. We wake up, we're like happy. It's the weirdest feeling ever for probably different colors to think of that, but we do. We wake up in a good mood. And sometimes we don't. And the world changes when that happens, because if you're a mom and you're in a bad mood, that's like death, right? because you set the tone for the whole family. So, and for work too, they count on you for your energy. But sometimes we don't feel like tap dancing, and that's the case. So, allow them to have their downtime. Do not demand perfection. Don't expect them to dwell on problems. They do not dwell on problems. All colors have like this big garbage can. Let's talk about the garbage can for a second. A red has problems, and they wad it up, and they put it in, and then they fix it, and they take it out. A blue has a garbage can, and they take on everyone's problems as much as they can. They're the last ones they take care of because they're too busy taking care of other people. Whites, they take on other people's problems as well, and then they have problems themselves, and they let it fill all the way to the top, and then one day they just flip out. They just have had it, and they just flip out. Yellows have a garbage can with no bottom. It just goes out all by itself, which is kind of nice, right? Do not attack their sensitivity and be unforgiving. And the very worst thing you can do to a yellow is control their schedules. They don't want to be controlled. So, I'm going to do a little test. Can I have some volunteers? I'm going to have Mike come up here. Mike, come up here. I need one more volunteer. One more. No one?
Yes, I'll do it.
Okay, come up. Okay. They're going to interview each other. You guys both take my class before, right? Yeah, you have too. Okay, so they're putting on the color they are, and they're going to talk about homes. Okay? What do you want to be?
The agent.
Okay. I'm going to make it be white. You've never been white before.
Never.
Okay. Now, you are the realtor in this first exercise. You're the realtor.
He just said he wanted to be.
Oh, you want to be the agent? Okay. You're the agent. You're the agent. Okay. You're the agent. You're white, and you're trying to sell blue a house. Go.
Well, so the home's really nice, and it really feels good. I mean, it's got a good feng shui, and it's laid out really nice. The colors are really beautiful, nice and earth-tony.
How are the neighbors? Are there any other kids in the neighborhood?
Oh no, the neighbors total snobs. You won't. I mean, you can't stand them. The kids are little brats. But just,
I'd like to see another home then.
let's go.
Okay, let's switch. Okay, you're still a realtor.
Hard for me.
I'm still the realtor.
You're still a realtor.
Ooh.
You're a blue realtor now.
Okay. Okay, so whenever you get a chance, I know you have a lot of things to do when you get around to looking at the list. Just pick out a few homes that we need to take a look at. Remember those loan docs that we were talking about? Hey, anytime you get around to it, don't rush, okay? Everything is fine, okay? So let's just go ahead and take a peek at this home.
Sure, is this one of the homes you sent me in advance that I reviewed on my computer?
This is, I don't know if you remember or not, but this is the one that had the fireplace, that had the slit level, everything like that. But again, don't worry about that. I can just take you through everything right now.
Okay, I think that sounds okay.
Yay! Mr. Red.
Oh, red.
Okay, still a realtor.
Red realtor now.
Red realtor.
All right. Yellow.
Think of me as Chris.
Gotcha. There. So,
How's it going? How are you feeling today?
it's great.
Beautiful out, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely.
Awesome day. So excited to be here.
Yeah.
Are we going to do happy hour after this? Because I'm kind of in the mood for
I
it.
am crazy busy. I don't have enough time for that. So, how How about we go check out the grill backyard area? Seems a little
Okay,
fun.
oh my gosh, I'd love to entertain, I'd love to have parties, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, plenty of room for the, nice widescreen TV, you got plenty of action going on here.
Is there a man cave? Because my husband loves to have his own space too.
I will throw in a trampoline on top of that.
Okay, I love trampolines, I actually used to be a gymnast, I
Yes.
used to do that,
I didn't, and didn't ask.
I love that. It's good.
Hey girl, what's up? Alright, let's go check out this crib.
That'd be great, because we're actually already 10 minutes late and behind, and I have a couple other things going on, so we need to be done in like the next 40 minutes.
Don't look at it as 10 minutes late, look at it as 50 minutes early. Let's go, alright, let's go, let's check this out. Like how you like the backyard area, how you like
So what are the comps in the neighborhood? Like, can you tell me this home based on, what the other homes are?
Yeah, it's gonna price out well. You're trusting
Hi.
me, so we got it.
She's already gone. She's dead. When you do the yellow. Okay, do it again. Do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the red.
So, hey, how are you? Sorry, I'm only 15 minutes early. I apologize for that. I do have everything prepared and ready for you. Here's all the list of the homes that we're going to see. Exactly all.
Great, let's just get started. I just really want to go in and check it out real quick. I'll probably know pretty quickly what I think.
Okay. And
How many bedrooms, baths?
we've got a 4 and 3 master bed, or master.
How long has it been on the market?
It's been on the market exactly 7 days.
Okay, great. All right.
Anything else I can help you with?
No, just if you could let me know the comps in the neighborhood and.
I actually printed them out there on page 4 of the packet that I just
Okay,
handed you.
perfect. Actually, you know what? This isn't the home.
No
I think we should
problem.
go look at another one.
Let's move on.
Okay.
I don't even know how to shut this off. Okay. Should I shut it off? Okay. Mike has been doing this color code for a while, and if you don't mind talking about what's happened to you with your business.
Should I sit down?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're good to go.
So the first time I did the color code with Chris, it was last. I'm also a football coach, so I go by the coach. If you haven't found me on Facebook, do that now. Pick up your phone. Anyway, the very first time I was doing it was on Monday. It was after a weekend of a game, and as a coach, as a high school coach, we have things that you have to prepare, and we have a staff that should prepare that. And nobody on my staff did their job. Now I'm in red. I'm a very dominant red. My secondary color is yellow, so I'm dominant but a clown at the same time. So everybody that is a football coach, I just automatically assume that everybody was a red. Everybody knows to do your job. Do your job, right? Do your job. So I was having one of those everybody do your job type days. So I took the color code class, and I had just major anxiety about ripping everybody's butt about the job they didn't do. So instead, I completely adjusted for what I thought their personality was. So the guy who didn't do his job that was a red, I was like, do your job. How come you didn't do your job? He's like, I'm very sorry. Don't be sorry. Just do your job. Make sure it's done right next time. Good. The blue, I was like, hey, I know this is, make sure you kind of get around to that when you can. Just make sure that happens by next Monday, whatever. The guy who had the white personality, that I was like, you have to understand how that makes me feel when you don't do your job. So we had to adjust that. And then the guy with the yellow personality, I was just like, hey, can you stop effing around and do your job? And he was just like, yeah, okay. So I called Chris on the way back home from practice, and I'm like, oh my God, it worked. Everybody said that they were going to do what they're supposed to do. And then with clients, and then not only just clients, but just in a basic transaction, you have that other realtor that has to have everything laid out. You have to, you have that title agent that is just like, hey, I'll get around to it, no problem. You got 10 days, and so you have to deal with so many different personalities in this business all the time. And each time I take this, it helps me understand.
He's the sweetest, isn't he? Okay, so I'm going to break it down. Now we're going to talk about how, is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. How you can actually profile people. When you're sitting in front of them, yellows are super flashing, a little weird, we're flashy. We get distracted by sparkly things. So sometimes you can actually pick out a yellow by their outfit, their car. Yellows like nice cars, and it doesn't have to be expensive. They like convertibles and fun and speed, and so you can usually profile even just from that. How to break it down the quickest way is the chill personalities and the dominant personalities. Reds and blues are dominant, and whites and yellows are chill. Blues and reds are a lot alike. America is a blue nation. There's more blues here than anywhere else. They're the do-gooders. The reds are Russia. Russia's a red nation. So you can pick out the chill and the dominance. That's pretty easy to separate. The questions you can ask them is if you are literally showing them homes and you want to figure out what they are, you haven't quite figured that out yet, you can ask them this simple question. Are you prepared to make a decision today? That's the question you can ask. Are you prepared to make a decision today? And there's only two colors that will. Any guesses? Red and yellow. A red and a yellow will make a decision that day. The blues and the whites need time. They have to think about it. They have to analyze it and decide on their own, but not that day. Would you like to know the details? This is the second question you can ask. Would you like to know the details? What colors want to know the details? Whites and blues. They want to know the details. The reds and the yellows want to know the bottom line. And the blues and the yellows are emotional in their communication. The logical ones are reds and whites. Okay, that's all I had for today. I have a whole bunch more, but I don't want to take up all your day because you've got some fabulous things to learn. So, are there any questions on this? No? Raise your hand. You're good? You're good? You're good? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for letting me come out today. I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to hear the rest.
Good morning, everybody. Wow, that's loud. Can you guys hear me okay? My name's Mike Serto. I'm the branch manager in Chandler, across the street from Fairway Independent Mortgage. And as we get ready to launch our next segment, I wanted to share something that's happened in the last 24 hours. I received a referral yesterday afternoon at about 4:30, and I wanted to read the email that I received to you guys as it kind of segues into the next part of our program. The email reads, "Hey Mike, I have a client that was referred that needs to meet in person for everything and has no computer. He lives at the 202 University. He's a retired borrower, makes about $2,000 a month with poor credit, and looking for a $650 to $700 a month payment. He can get gifts funds from his brother, but doesn't have really any money. It's not a sexy deal at all, but he is a friend, and do you have anyone that you can refer him to?" That happened about 4:45. I was getting ready to leave from work yesterday afternoon. So I picked up the phone and I called the client. It's a real life scenario, guys. This is what we deal with sometimes with a referral. And part of being Fairway is treating people the fair way. So I picked up the phone and I had the conversation. And his name was Jeff. He's currently living in a manufactured home in Mesa. And I said, "Jeff, what's going on?" He was a first-time home buyer, 76 years old. And he said, "The home that I'm living in, my landlord is about 88 years old, and she's probably going to pass away here in the next year or two. And the house is going to her daughter, and I'm afraid I'm going to be homeless if she sells a house. And I've never talked to a mortgage professional. I don't have the best credit. I have a lot of medical collections. I'm on a fixed income, collecting Social Security, but I want to try to buy a house." And I said, "Jeff, let's get started." So we went through an application, and being a loan officer for 16 years, I was expecting the worst, but I wanted to treat him, the best. And so I got to the part about pulling credit. I said, Jeff, I need your social security number. Let's go ahead and pull credit. And when I pulled, I had a 638 credit score. He had a perfect payment history on a credit card, had a couple leases from rent-to-own furniture, and that's pretty much what his credit consisted of. He had about $38,000 in unpaid medical collections, one large one, 3 small ones. And I said, Jeff, you don't have bad credit. You pay your bills on time. We understand in the industry that medical collections are something that we can set aside. Yeah, they do affect your credit. I said, Jeff, where are you looking to buy? He said, Mesa. I go, you need to afford, you're paying $650 in rent. What's your maximum payment that you want to be able to afford? He goes, up to $750. I said, okay, if you're looking for a manufactured home, let me do a quick home search on Home Scouting. I pulled up our app, I looked through it, I said, Jeff, I think there's some houses out there that might fit your criteria. I said, unfortunately, our manufactured home program isn't like a straight FHA program where we can go down to a 580 credit score. We actually need to have a 660 for a manufactured home. I said, but you're close. I said, why don't I go ahead and contact our credit services team and see what we can do to get your score up. I sent an email to our credit services team. By this point, it was about 7:45 last night after I got done talking to him, pulled credit, spent about an hour and 15 minutes talking to him, making sure that he felt comfortable. And about 7:56, I get an email back from our credit services team last night. And she says, Mike, I can get you to a 660 on this file. He needs about $800. The three medical collections are owned by Bureau of Medical Economics, and they'll negotiate a removal if you pay them in full. So I called the client back this morning. I said, Jeff, great news. I know we talked about getting a gift from your brother. Have you had that conversation with him? He said, Mike, I talked to him last night. He'll give me $6,000. I said, great, we've got our down payment. We have enough money for closing costs. We'll negotiate some closing costs from the seller. I said, we've got $800 to pay out for medical. We can get you there. We can get your file done. So that type of scenario, getting an email like that's a live email, right? I mean, we've all had or given referrals like that where we're like, I don't know if it's going to work out. This doesn't seem like a great home buyer. I don't know if we're even going to be able to find them a house, but let's give it a shot, right? I know this person, or they're a family friend, or they're a referral from a client. And when you deal with your loan officer and you're referring a client like that, you don't know how many other referrals that you're going to get when you treat them with respect and you treat them the fair way of treating people. Here at Fairway, we have a credit services team. We have Credit Tool is what it's called. I wanted to introduce somebody who's no short of a miracle worker, Stephanie Kuhnrat today. She's responsible for millions of dollars of closed transactions, probably hundreds of thousands of additional commissions, not only for us as loan officers, but for you as real estate agents. And so I wanted to introduce Stephanie Kuhnrat today, one of my favorite people that I work with. Stephanie, how are you today?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Great. Tell me a little bit about what you do, Stephanie.
Sure, so I've been working with Fairway now for about 2 years. And the reason we have this program is ultimately to get people into the home of their dreams. A lot of people think it's either not possible or it's going to take maybe 9 months to a year. And I'm here to run a scenario, give them a plan, let them know that it is possible in a short period of time. As long as they're motivated, they're willing to put in the work, and they follow the instructions to a T, it can be done. And I'm here to make Fairway more money. You guys as agents, I'm sure you guys have probably missed a commission here and there based on some kind of credit-related issue. So I kind of like to play detective, figure out what went wrong, why, and then offer a solution and get the client in the home as soon as possible.
Nice. Who do you help? What's your client profile, and I mean, what do you need to come to you from a client standpoint?
So we basically work with a wide range of clients. We have clients in the low or even high 400s, low 500s that currently don't qualify at all. We have clients like that one who have a 638 and need either a 640 or a 660, possibly for down payment assistance. And then we have clients that have maybe a 738, 755, and getting them just a little bit higher would give them better pricing. So pretty much everybody.
Nice. So for the audience, on a conventional loan, we use this tool not only to get people over the threshold to actually qualify, but I had a client who was a higher end Scottsdale client. He was buying about a $480,000 home, practically debt free, but he had a business Amex that showed up under his personal account. And that was a client that had a 734 credit score. And so we run them through credit optimization and said, hey, if you pay down the Amex account, I can do a rapid rescore, get your score rescored within 3 to 5 business days, get you over a 740, and I'll drop your rate 1/8% by doing that. So we use the tool not only to help people get into homes and qualify for better programs or just to qualify for getting into a home, but the higher end clients too, who may have a little bit of revolving debt that may be overextended due to the way they pay their bills. Just to get them a little bit better pricing. So that's really good information. Tell me about your follow-up system with clients. What does that look like?
So we've recently put together a new CRM which helps track our clients a little bit more efficiently. So depending on the client's plan, let's say they have maybe a 6 to 9 month plan, we'll usually follow up maybe once a month, hopefully maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If it's a pretty quick plan where we can do a rapid rescore, or maybe it's a 30-day plan, we try and stay on them every 2 weeks, communicate via email. We definitely need to be kind of their cheerleader, go-to person with any questions, keep them on the right path, make sure they're not making any other changes, like applying for new credit or anything like that. So we do our best to reach out to them every few weeks to a month.
Sounds good. No, I know that you responded to me within like 15 minutes last night, but I know that's probably not usual to catch you after hours. If a loan officer submits a file to you, what's your usual turn time to get back to them?
Well, one of Fairway's core values is speed to respond, so I try and get plans out as quickly as possible, or even an email with an answer to a question, or at least letting you know I'm working on it and I'll get back to you quickly. But when we receive a request to put together a credit optimization plan for a client, we tell everybody it's about 48 hours. Sometimes we can get it done in half an hour. Sometimes it's really close to that 48-hour mark. It just kind of depends on how busy we are, but we definitely do our best every day.
And how do you keep our industry professionals, if people refer those type of people, how do you keep those guys in the loop? Do you communicate directly with the real estate agents, the loan officers, outside of what you do with the clients?
Good question. So all of our referrals come from Fairway. They're Fairway loan officers. They let us know what they're looking for, what score, what time frame, how much money they have. This way we can put together the most effective and the plan that makes the most sense for the client. Once we go over the plan with the client, we'll make sure that the loan officer has a copy of it. They also are usually kept in the loop of, if they've completed their plan or where they are in the process. And then in terms of real estate agents, we don't directly provide the plan to you, but once the client has given that permission to share it, that's when the loan officer or the client can send it directly to you.
Got it. Can you tell me a few items that are usually included in your plan? Is it paying off debt, opening up credit, negotiation for deletions? Can you kind of tell me what kind of goes into a plan sometimes?
Yep, it really depends on the particular credit profile, but sometimes a plan will include paying down credit cards. We use a computer simulator program that's tied to the mortgage credit report, so it's 99% accurate. And then if the loan officer is requesting a 640, we'll build a plan that gets them to like a 644, 645, so there's a cushion. In some cases, we're having them open up a credit card. You'd be surprised at how many people don't have any credit cards. So just opening up one can make a huge impact on the score. Over the last 2 years, I've gotten familiar with a lot of the collection agencies and know which ones are willing to help, which ones are willing to provide a pay for deletion letter once it's paid in full. Sometimes I'll help get late payments removed. It gets a little bit tricky at that point, but yeah.
Sounds good. What other things can we tell the audience about what you do from day to day, that you like to fill in? I know you have a lot of success stories as well, some real heart-wrenching stories on helping people get into a home. Can you tell us what else there is behind the scenes, and maybe give us an example of a story of a homeowner that you've helped recently?
Sure. So Fairway is kind of my second family. I don't really have a work schedule. I work kind of 24/7 whenever I'm needed. In some cases, certain documentation might have to get to, the East Coast, whether it's to a collection agency or one of the credit bureaus. So I'm in the office, at 5 a.m. faxing the information. Sometimes I'm in the office late at night, responding to emails. But yeah, just super busy working with 5 states right now. We're kind of a credit help desk, so we answer kind of random questions, or maybe they don't know how to read a certain part of the credit report, or helping out with a supplement or a rescore. And in terms of success stories, a lot of them come to mind, but the one that kind of sticks out the most is we had clients that recently moved here from California. They transferred with one of their jobs. Family, I think they had 3 kids. And they were working with Fulton with the home build. I think they originally put down $5,000. I think he had a I want to say 592 FICO score when he came to Fairway, and he needed a 620. And Fulton tried over and over and over again to try and get the approval, but he had to have a 620, no ifs, ands, or buts. A 619 wouldn't do it. So they came to my office, and I ran the simulation, and they didn't have much time. I think they had 30 days, and at one point we did end up getting a little bit of an extension, but there was not a whole lot to work with and not a lot of time. So, at first he paid down a credit card, he opened up a new credit card, we fought to get one collection deleted, and now we're at a 609. And literally the only way we could get this deal done is if this one collection agency would delete it from the credit report. And I think we were on the phone with them at least 4 or 5 times, and these clients actually came down to the office. We did the conference call together, and the wife, strong woman, no tears. That final day where we were really running out of time, this is them right here. I said, create some tears. You need to paint a picture of what you guys are going through right now, and just hope that we get someone on the line that is compassionate and wants to help. So she did. She explained to the collection agency that they were living in a hotel. They could not touch any of their credit cards. They couldn't touch any more money that they had in the bank. And at this point, they actually had $15,000 in earnest money that they wouldn't have gotten back if they didn't reach the 620 and close on this home. So finally, the woman on the phone, again, this is attempt number 5, she had to reopen up this collection because it had been paid years ago. And I think the client maybe paid a very small fee, but they did get it deleted. We got a letter that same day, we did a rapid rescore, and they were at, I want to say it was like a 622 the following day. And yeah, that's them holding up the keys, just super excited. So it was really good to be part of that.
That's fantastic. Hey, Stephanie, we appreciate everything that you do. Thank you for coming up on stage today, guys. Stephanie, good job. Guys, our next guest speaker is going to be Derek Vogel with Credit Absolutes, another portion of our credit segment. About incubating your buyers. Obviously if we can get somebody into Stephanie's hands and our credit tool team's hands, it's a more immediate turnaround, right? It's 30, 60, 90 days out. But if they need more help than what we can offer them, if they need a little bit more as far as, work on their credit goes, Derek's an absolute great partner for us, an industry expert, and I'd like to welcome Derek Vogel to the stage. Derek.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes. Hi. I'm Derek Vogel with Credit Absolute, and so I've been working with Fairway for a few years now as a trusted advisor, and I was a mortgage banker myself for about 10 years, and so I have a mortgage background, and I use similar scoring simulators with the mortgage model to understand what they are able to do for clients that need that quick fix. But I got tired of the corporate world and decided to start my own company back in 2012. So with that, the reason I started my own company is because I used what we call the credit repair companies back in the day and never had really any success with them. I never knew what they were doing. They just said, hey, give me your money and we promise, we'll fix your credit. It was a monthly model type business. So I paid them a bunch of money and I never saw any results. And I'm like, what's going on? So I decided to, get into the industry myself. And so, we always wonder what credit is. And here's the definition, in the Google dictionary, but it's just the ability to obtain goods and services, and do you have the ability to pay them back in a timely manner? I'll get to some of the common credit myths here. You can read them yourself if you want, but they're just pretty general information. But with that being said, I started a credit counseling business and education because I found that anybody can really take the time to do credit repair themselves because it is free. Under the FCRA or the CROA, which is the Credit Reporting Organization Act, it says that credit repair is free, but you also have the legal right to hire an expert to help you with your credit. And so when I got into the business, I found that a lot of people never got the proper education to learn how credit actually works, to build a proper foundation. It's almost like they were standing on 3 legs. They were almost there. They'd get negative items corrected or deleted, but their scores wouldn't change. They didn't understand, I got all these deletions. Why isn't my score changing? It's because they weren't being coached properly on how to build a foundation to trigger the scoring algorithms and the scoring credit profile models. And there's probably 77 different scoring models. So if you've ever seen your credit score and you're like, hey, why is my score different here? Why is my score different over here? In the mortgage industry, they use a FICO score. They usually use probably FICO 97 or 98 model, but they actually have FICO 8, FICO 9, so it gets kind of confusing. But the biggest thing to understand is that not necessarily worrying about your credit score number, but just worrying about what is in the credit report and how to manage that properly. And across the board, all the credit scores will increase in a timely manner. There's a few on here, but I think the biggest common credit myth that I want to share with you is inquiries. They do not affect your credit score number at all. In fact, literally, they do not. So it's okay to pull your credit. It's okay to check to see what your 3 credit scores, because you don't know until you step on the scale, right? You need to understand what your scores are so that you can make the adjustments accordingly. Not only get approved for a home, but let's say it's a car, or personal loan, installment loan, any types of those things. So, credit absolute, one thing that we focus on is against an education, and then the dispute process comes kind of as a second nature for us. But we, educate our family on how to build proper mix of credit. Our education teaches how to trigger the scoring algorithms and the scoring models to maximize the scores on a monthly basis. You have to forgive me too. I don't usually use a PowerPoint. I just talk naturally, so I'm trying to use this. But we use state-of-the-art technology to be able to analyze the client's information. And one thing big that we do is a free 30-minute consultation. So if you have a client that's having challenges and they need to see, like say, you send them to Fairway, send them to Stephanie or a loan officer at Fairway, and they check their credit, and it goes through the credit tool program, and they're like, this is a little bit more nitty-gritty. We have to kind of dissect it a little bit. Then they'll come to me or a trusted advisor with Fairway, and we'll be able to analyze that credit report on a deeper level. And so we have innovative methods in the sense that me being in the industry for 10 years, but also being a credit expert for the past 6 years, I work with a lot of different mentors. John Alzheimer is actually one of my mentors. He used to work for FICO directly and Equifax. So I've had a really great teacher and educator on really how the system works. And so when a client comes to us and we look at their credit report in that first free 30-minute review, I'm able to show the client where the mistakes are. And so, we're not in the business to dispute accurate information, okay, but we're also there to educate them so they can understand why we are so successful. So one of the things, where I'm different is I'm a performance-based company as well. And so when we show the clients this information, they're able to kind of take a little deep breath, because there's a lot of companies that will charge like a monthly fee, right? Or a bunch of money up front, which is illegal in this credit industry. And so when we tell them that we're performance-based, they kind of let their guard down a little bit. But we do dispute, inaccurate, outdated, or unverifiable information. You'd be surprised how much information is inaccurate on a credit report. I don't think I've ever, in my 15 years looking at credit reports, have seen a credit report that was 100% accurate, ever. One of the biggest things that we see usually are medical issues, medical collections. We also see a lot of short sales that are reporting as foreclosures. We'll see bankruptcies that had been discharged, but accounts are still saying that they owe balance that was included in the bankruptcy. And all these are FCRA violations, okay? So these say three main things. If the information is not 100% accurate, it's not 100% verifiable, which is key, they have to have proof, or if it's not reported timely, you and I have the legal right to dispute that information on a credit report. Now, one of the big things that I've also worked into my company is a really strong resource, a library of resources. So I do have an FCRA attorney that deals with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, but also the FDCPA, which is the Fair Debt Billing Practices Act. So when we send out a dispute letter for your clients for an inaccurate information, and we notify the bureaus now, and they're aware, because before they weren't aware, so they can't be held accountable. But once we made them aware, and they do not fix that inaccurate information, now they're in violation of the federal law. And so when they don't remove or correct that information, then I got my muscle, and behind the scenes, our attorneys, they'll go in and sue the creditors or the bureaus for not fixing that information to be current or accurate, or if they don't delete it from the credit report. What's amazing about this is our attorneys are 100% free. They don't charge clients anything. And then the client ends up making $1,000 to $1,500 per violation, per bureau. So I have clients right now every single month making money off of credit errors on the credit report. So if you have errors, and you know your clients have errors, or let's say you had something personal in the past from the 2004 error and stuff's lingering, don't let it just stay on there. Like I said, step on the scale and see what's going on with your credit report. So one of the big things, again, like I said, I really just try to separate myself from the credit repair business, is that we provide a complete education. We just help establish new trade lines. A lot of people don't realize that there's 3 different types of credit cards, okay, that trigger different scoring algorithms. There's like a major credit card, like a charge card, like American Express, that you have to pay off every single month. Usually can't get that card though until you have like a 720 plus credit score. Then you have your regular credit cards, points, cash back, things of that nature. And then you have a department store card. Okay, there's different levels, but it's important to have all 3, and it's important to manage those cards properly on a monthly basis. And one of the things that I find is the golden nugget that I get excited to share with everyone is that when you're paying your credit cards, people always hear, I'll just ask you guys to get you involved a little bit, but what do you think the sweet spot is to pay your credit cards down to? 30% is usually the answer. It's actually below 10%. 30 is not that great. Okay? The reason why is they've done studies with FICO directly for 20 plus years with an individual with a 780 credit score and above has maintained about a 7% utilization ratio. Okay? So what happens as you increase your debt on your credit card, okay, anything under 10% is a sweet spot, so it will increase. But 15, 20, 25, 30, your score starts to actually decrease. Okay, but if you go over 50%, now you're in the red zone, and that actually is going to demolish your credit score every month, having a high balance. Now they talk about total credit card utilization as well. So if you have 4 credit cards that are $1,000 a piece, 3 of them are at 0, 1 of them's at 1,000 maxed out, that puts you at what, 25%? credit card utilization ratio, total, right over the 4. But the reason I share this with you is because that one credit card is still over 50%, it's maxed out. And it does have still a pretty negative impact just because that one card. But when they look at it as a whole, you're only at 25%, which is still pretty good. But I just want you to understand it would be actually better to divide that credit card balance over the 4 credit cards as to 1, making sure you're keeping it under that 50% mark. So as you go from 50 to 40 to 30, you'll start to see the scores jump up 1 or 2 points, 3 to 10 points, like each percentage. And then when you finally get below that 10, then you know that you're going to see a big score increase. If you pay it off to a 0 balance, I know this is pretty crazy, but your scores will drop usually. So it puts the card into a status called no activity. And that obviously is not what we want, especially when we're trying to help buyers that are right on that borderline to get qualified. Now, I guess the most important part with a credit card is understanding when to pay it. Okay, there's 2 different dates on your credit card. Does anybody know what they are by chance? You can't answer the question if you know me. What's that? Yep, cycle date and due date, that's right. You know the difference between the 2?
Yeah, it's when your credit that month ends and then a couple weeks later.
Kind of. So the due date is when the bill's due by, right? And if you go past the due date, there's a late fee, and then 30 days, there's a 30-day late, right? But the cycle date is the end of the statement period, but that's actually the date. The cycle date is the date they report the balance to the credit bureaus. So I'll give you an example. Let's use the 10th and the 20th of the month. What is today? Today is the 22nd. Let's say your due date was a couple days ago, you paid it. Let's say it's a $1,000 credit card. Let's say over the next week you buy gas, groceries, you max it out. The 10th of the month comes up for July. And you're like, you know what, I'll pay it off on the 15th. I'll pay the credit card off. Well, on the 10th, the maxed out credit card reported that balance to the bureau, so now it looks like you have a maxed out credit card, dropping your credit scores, giving you high interest rates and so forth. So the goal is to change your methodology of thinking and start paying your credit card down 2 days before the cycle date. Now you get to dictate what balance reports to the bureaus so that you can help maximize and increase your credit scores to their highest potential. Okay? And so then you don't have to worry about paying it on the due date now because it's already been paid. Now, if the due date is before the cycle date, you're in the clear, right? Which is very rare, though. I don't ever really see that happening. Unless you can actually pick the day that you want to pay it. And if you do it before the cycle date, then, like I said, you're fine. You don't have to worry about this being already paid. Now, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought with the credit cards. There's so much about it. So the reason I wanted to share you with that piece, because when we look at a pie chart, most of you have seen this when you see it's, our credit scores, 35% payment history, 30% credit card utilization. Have you guys seen that before? The reason I share that with you, does anybody know how your score is calculated off how many points total? Anyone want to guess? Nobody? So the lowest credit score you can get is 300. Okay, the highest credit score you can get is 850. Right? The difference between the two is 550 points. All right? So when you take 35% of 550, I think it's 196. The last time I ran this. But the point of that is that's why when you get one 30-day late payment, you'll see your score drop 100 points sometimes. The second biggest piece of that pie is credit card utilization is 30%. So that's why I'm spending a little bit more time with you guys on the credit cards so that you can not only understand yourselves, but help educate and teach others. Like I said, this type of stuff is, I think, extremely important. And so when you have a high utilization ratio, that's why also your credit scores are affected so much by the balances of your credit card. And then the rest of the pie chart is 15% has to do with proper mix of credit. So that would be for car loans, student loans, mortgages, credit cards, things of that nature. And then 10% has to do with length of credit, how long you have an account open. So if you do have a positive credit card, don't ever close it. It's not necessary. Having a lot of credit cards is not a bad thing. I have like 15, not a big deal, but I use like 2 or 3. I just want you to know a lot of credit is not bad credit. Depending on again, some of this is obviously going to be coached accordingly. When an individual is trying to buy a house, we're not telling you to go out and get like 10 or 15 credit cards. But they might need to get 2 or 3 if they don't have anything established as well to build that credit, like Stephanie and Mike were mentioning earlier. So that is, so credit affects mortgages, it affects, insurance, not only your homeowner's insurance, car insurance. Actually look at your credit scores. I was able to redo my insurance a couple years ago before I had sold my house, and I saved almost $200 a month, not only on my car insurance and my homeowner's insurance, because my credit scores were in the 740 range. So I don't recommend, just because you've been with an insurance agent for 10, 15 years, doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and check, because all insurance is pretty much the same anyways, right? I mean, coverage-wise, you get the basic coverage or whatever, but I recommend that you check. Military, it's important, so we work with a lot of military as well. You can actually get kicked out of the military because of bad credit, and so they run credit checks for the military as well. And then divorces are huge. Another big myth is when people do have to go through divorce, and then let's say they divide up the debts, and let's say the other party is saying, hey, you're responsible for this debt, but it's still on the credit report, and let's say that other party decides they don't want to pay for it. But you are still responsible for that payment on the credit. It doesn't just get voided. You can't take it to a judge even and say, hey, well, they missed the payments, all right? It's affecting my credit. The creditors don't care. So you actually have to get that loan or whatever it is refinanced out of your name in order for it to officially not affect your credit, okay? People, obviously, I think a lot of times are scared to just come to you to talk about credit. So if you do have a client that needs help, it's important that they obviously trust you and that you guide them to Fairway first, and then, or if it's really, really damaged, guide them to me. And what's nice about our portal, it's very similar with Fairways, with the CRM. Not only do we attach, not only do we attach you have a personal partner portal, but if you're working with a specific loan officer, we can attach your information or your partner link, in a sense, your code, to the client's portal. And then so as we do monthly updates, because that's one of the things that we do with our clients as we take them through the process, is we do monthly credit reviews as well. But you'll get what's called a monthly credit success report, not only to you, to the banker, to the client, showing, let's say, how many deletions they got, how many scores they were increased, so you're always in the loop. You're not ever having to guessing, hey, what's going on? We're going to keep you in the loop the whole entire time. So, some of the benefits of becoming a partner with Credit Absolute is we've been awarded the best credit counseling service in Scottsdale for the past 3 years. So we've been very honored to hold that award. I just actually got an email the other day from Yelp, 2 years consecutive, that people love us on Yelp. So our online reputation is extremely important. I have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau organically, so I don't pay for that rating. It's just from a lot of clients giving us honest testimonials, or from our referral partners as well. Like I said, we have a quick turnaround time. Our average score increase is 40 points minimum, up to 100 points in 30 to 90 days on average. So we're helping to get that client back into your pipeline as quick as possible. We have, like I mentioned, the legal support team that deals with the violations. We also have a lot of I'm sure you see student loan issues. So we help people with student loans, not only with federal, but also private loans. What we do is we help consolidate those debts, if they're spread out, into one easy payment, lower interest rate, and also a lower payment, which then can reduce their debt-to-income ratio, hopefully help them get approved for the loan if that's an issue. We also deal with federal and state tax liens, so if you're seeing that information and they're having challenges paying them, we do have really great attorneys that can help them negotiate, usually a lot better than they can on their own. One really cool thing too about federal tax liens If they are reporting on the credit report and they're below about $25,000 and they're still owed debt, and the client has set up payment arrangements and they've made at least 3 months of payments, I can actually get an owed tax lien removed from the credit report, which not only comes off their public records, it has a huge, huge impact. Now, if it's paid, there's also a really easy way for them to also get that deleted before that 7-year time frame. Okay? And then one other thing, I've built a good relationship with a couple, like the Toyota Larry Miller dealerships here locally, but I see a lot of high interest rates on car loans. So we're helping people also refinance their car loans, saving anywhere from $100 to sometimes $300 a month. It's pretty crazy seeing people pay 20+% interest rates on car loans. Yeah, I guess that was my last one. I thought I had a few more slides, but just in a general sense again, so that's a little bit everything that we offer resource-wise. Pricing for me, just so you guys, everything's on my website, but clients for a single, it's $299 for a single person, and it's $499 for a couple, so there's a $100 discount. Okay, that is a lifetime membership with us. So if they need us 5 years from now, they'll never have to pay that. Well, what's included with that startup, like I said, is all of our resources, our attorneys, not only the monthly coaching, they get the portal, monthly updates. Now, where I'm different from most companies is I'm performance-based. So if they have negative items on the report that we're working on, I do charge to get those items deleted successfully. If I don't get them deleted, they don't get charged. I charge $75 a deletion for collections and charge-offs. I charge $175 for high-risk items like that.
But it's still, even though it's already been resolved, but it's still sitting out there.
Okay, so this is a charge-off that's been paid. Okay, so if it, from the date of payment, then there is a statute of 6.5 years it can actually stay on the credit report. All right. Now there's a big difference too. Okay, so I think, thank you for asking this question. So you have original creditors where the clients will just let the payment lapse and then it goes into a charge-off. That original creditor holds that debt, which they can for as long as they want. And it is a lot different than if they sell that debt to a collection agency. Okay, so once they sell it to a collection agency, okay, well, let's say it's January of 2016 when this was charged off, or I should say, let's say that was the very first 30-day late payment. Let's say it's a Capital One credit card. The very first late payment was January 1st of 2016, okay? That is when the time clock starts for the statutes, okay? But what happens is, let's say Capital One then sold this debt a year later, and then the collection agency reports it on the credit report January of 2017. That is a violation. It's illegal. You cannot do that. You cannot re-age the account from the date of its first delinquency. And we see it all the time, and I can get those not only deleted, but if they usually, like I said, it'll get deleted. It's not really a correction on the collection. So it's just, you see it all the time, re-aging. It's a big, big issue in the credit world. So we're able to leverage that for your clients to get that removed. Now, the debt is still with the original creditor, and let's say it's within a year or 2 years, we then focus on helping them get a settlement for that debt because of how new it is. Typically after the 3-4 year mark, then it gets to a point where either it's going to get sent to the courts for a judgment, depending on how much it is, or the company just writes it off and they take it as a loss kind of deal. Still, when we dispute the information, like I said before, we don't dispute accurate information. So, like if there's an issue with an owed charge-off, I'm not disputing the debt of that account. I could be disputing the reporting status of dates, payment histories, things of that nature, because it still has to be reported 100% accurately. So, great question. Thank you.
So what if it was like from a bankruptcy and they did a charge-off, in other words, it was accepted? Does that usually still stay on there too?
Yep, so accounts will stay on the credit report even though they're included in a bankruptcy. But just remember that account has to be updated to 0. That was included in that bankruptcy. If not, then that's a violation, and that's usually a good leeway for us to go in and dispute that information. Or, number one, get the attorney involved that deals with those FCRA violations to dispute that information for the client to help them get that deleted, usually deleted. And not only that, that's kind of an easy shoe-in for the attorney and the client.
But that can still stay on the report for 6.5 or 7 years?
Yeah, technically 6.5. Yeah. Any other questions?
I had a client who's switched cell phone carriers.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of times they're not able to pay off their cell phone, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So she thought everything was fine and well for, you know, I met with them. They ran their credit, find out it's there for $400 some odd, and now she's going back and forth with that other cell phone carrier trying to get it removed from the credit. Help them.
No, those are the most frustrating. But they can be deleted and removed. I mean, there's so much fine print usually in those contracts, but I see that common challenge on a daily basis. But we do have a very high success rate of getting cell phone companies deleted from the credit report. Yes?
You mentioned that you get multiple inquiries and it does not affect your credit score.
No, it does not.
That includes, like, if someone wanted a home equity loan and they contacted 5 different banks.
Yeah. No, not really. No, I mean, I'm not saying like at all, maybe 1 point or something. Maybe. That's a maybe. Just as a, now, so I'm not telling you to like, just let people know, like, go get a bunch of inquiries. Nobody wants hard inquiries on their credit report. But what I just want to share with you is it doesn't affect the scoring numbers like we believe or like we've been taught to believe. Okay, it's a myth. You can get your credit technically pulled 30 times in 1 month by different mortgage companies. It doesn't have any impact at all, actually, until the next 30 days. Same thing with car companies. I think they might be a 2-week period. But they will end up showing up on the report, you know, that you had, 30 is a little obsessive, but I'm just kind of using it as an example. But that 30 would not drop your credit scores like 20 points like people think. You know, it's usually in high debt, right? Because it's so minimal on the percentage of everything. But soft inquiries, of course, don't show up in your credit report at all. The soft inquiry is anything that has to do with not getting financing. So like a personal credit pull. Yes?
How does Parent Plus loan affect someone with a deferred payment? So a child has a deferred payment, a parent has a Parent Plus loan. How does that affect credit score?
I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. I will have to research that one for you. Is there any like negative, like missing payment or anything like that, or is it a business page, LinkedIn page? I think I have close to 70 articles on my LinkedIn page, things that you can use and share with clients or other trusted advisors. But I recommend that if you want to send me a friend request or get on a list. If you guys have your business cards, I do have a table up here as well. I'd love to get your business cards because I also do monthly credit tips that I'll send out to you once a month, just so you can kind of get an idea. Some different changes in what's going on in the industry, or just kind of friendly reminders to help you kind of refresh and boost the credit scores.
Thanks, everyone. Yes, I am the sharpest girl in town. I'm just going to take a few minutes and go over a couple of brand new enhancements and things that can really help you be the sharpest realtors in town. Who has Cutco or who is giving out the gifts? Raise your hand. Keep your hand up if you've had Cutco more than 10 years. Look around. 15 years, 20, 25. Jerry, how long have you had yours for? Would you say about 20 years, maybe? Maybe longer? Awesome. For those of you that are not familiar with Cutco, what we do, my team and I, we help almost 3,000 realtors all over the valley and the state with their client gifts. If you're not giving out Cutco, I'm not here to say that people don't like the gifts that you give them now, because that wouldn't be true. I don't know about you guys, but give me anything. If it's free, I will always like your gift. But with that being said, what happens to most closing gifts after a couple of months? cost, they're eaten, they're gone. I did have a client give a puppy one time as a gift, but most things are so quickly gone. So what we do is we actually take the Cutco product, which is guaranteed for life. It's kind of like the Rolex of knives. We engrave it with your information. 80% of people will forget their realtor's name after 2 years, or their lender's name. So this really prevents that from happening. We're actually based in the US. We've been around for decades. Everything's guaranteed for life, and people get really into this product. It comes in red, white, or black. And we also have a couple ways that you can do a package. We have a lot of my agents like to pair it with wine or oil. So we've got a couple new combinations if you want to do more of a, like a combo package like that. Also, what people really like about it, they're all 100% tax deductible. So you're not limited to only writing off $25. You get to write off the entire cost because it's marketing, it's not a gift. Everybody eats, and people do hang out in the kitchen, so that's why it is such a popular choice for so many agents. Lastly, I do want to give a tip on how to give out Cutco, because there is an art to it. You never want to just hand somebody a gift, especially Cutco, and say, here's a gift, without wrapping it. So we actually have a script, and you don't have to memorize this. We can send this to you in an email, and you can put it on a note card. But the way to give out Cutco is basically, Mr. and Mrs. Clients, I know I could have given you a gift card. I know you have repairs on the house. I could have given you wine to celebrate, but those things are gone and they're forgotten about so quickly, and that's not the kind of impression I want to leave with you. So this is such high quality that you will literally have it for the rest of your life. It's guaranteed forever, and you can pass it down. So let this be a reminder that I am forever at your fingertips for all of your real estate needs. And I look forward to building you an entire set based on future referrals and transactions. Okay, see the difference between that versus here's a gift without wrapping it. So we're going to donate. Actually, we gave a ton of Cutco away at the end of the day today. You guys are going to have a chance to win. I believe it's like 7 or 8 pieces of Cutco. So good luck on winning. And then if you want to come chat with me during lunch, if you need to place a gift order, you will get 70% off any personal block set for your kitchen. So 70% off with a couple of the regular price closing gifts. And the first 5 people to come up will also get an additional piece as well. So hope to chat with you guys soon. And thanks for having me. Enjoy lunch.
Hey guys, wow. I think next time I'm coming to Arizona in December, if you're going to come here from Wisconsin. What's really cool is what I found out is that the big advantage of this is you can buy coffee on Monday and it's still hot in your cup holder on Thursday. You don't have to get another cup of coffee. You just get a big large one and just drink it all the way through the week because it never cools off. So what I'm going to talk about this afternoon is something that I've done several hundred times over the last 14 years. But it's interesting to me that every time I do it, it's kind of something new for the people that I work with. It's not going to be new for everybody here, but it's going to be new for most of you. And what the situation is in one of the most ultimate niche markets that there is reverse mortgages of people over the age of 62. And it is one of the most unpopular topics. When I get on an airplane, I fly Southwest a lot, and so I'm on the A list, so I always board right after the people that need assistance. Guess who the people are that need assistance? They're all over 62. So they're my market. And a lot of people ignore that market, by the way, and it's not a good idea to do that because it's an excellent market. But when I start talking to somebody and ask them what they do, invariably they ask what I do. I said, well, I work for Fairway Mortgage. I specialize primarily in reverse mortgages. And they say, oh. And they kind of look the other way and hope that I don't talk to them, but they're locked up with me for an hour in the airplane. And so I get to talk to them and tell them about reverse mortgages, and almost always it dramatically changes their perspective and their mind about what these things are and how they work. Now, I know there was a poll done last fall with the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association. And the poll was something that was very specific, that we asked everybody over 50 what their interest level was in getting a reverse mortgage. And 90% of people said they don't want one. So we are selling a product, and we are working with realtors, financial advisors, attorneys throughout the country. that do not want the product that we're talking about. And as real estate agents, you are fortunate, quite frankly, that you're here because this is something that will make a dramatic difference in your business if you choose to embrace it. Because the things I'm going to tell you, even though you've been in the real estate business for maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be, I guarantee you that you're going to look at it in a different way. So if you don't want to change the way you do business with this one specific niche market, you got to leave now because this is going to force you to think differently. It really is. So, just a disclosure, we're big on disclaimers, so that's what we're going to look at. To make sure that I understand, because I fully understand all the things that are out there that make you think, I don't know about the reverse mortgage. So what are some reasons that you would not recommend a reverse mortgage to your clients, to your parents, yourself if you're old enough? What are some things that you don't like about them? Anything? Everybody likes them here? I know that's not the case. Just go ahead and shout it out. Anything you don't like that would stop you from recommending a reverse mortgage to a client that came in that's over 62?
Nothing I know personally, but I know Susie Orman just
Oh, thank you. Susie Orman, now you just raised my blood pressure. Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey do not think reverse mortgages are a good idea. And they don't have any facts to back it up, but they don't think they're a good idea. Thank you. There's some people that are noted authorities that have no licenses that are on TV and radio that tell stories about things that are not a good idea. Dave Ramsey doesn't like VA mortgages either. He thinks those are a bad idea. So, kind of interesting. That's great, yes. They've heard something from some authority, a financial advisor, an uncle, a cousin, an attorney. Somebody said they were bad. And they don't really know why it is, but that just continues. Oh, well, Joe said they're bad, so they must be bad. Why do you think they're bad? I don't know. Joe said they're bad. And that is a very common scenario, so thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Yes, sir. I'm sorry? Thank you very much. What he said is when you get a reverse mortgage, you start losing equity. It's pretty obvious, right? Nobody wants to lose equity because for your whole life, you gain equity by making payments and your mortgage balance goes down, the value of your house goes up theoretically, and then you're in a situation where you are in a better position. Does anybody have a 401k or an IRA or a savings account? Do you know that when you take money out of it that you lose cash? Why on earth would you take money out of an IRA? You're going to lose cash. Isn't that interesting? We look at that completely different. It is actually exactly the same thing. But everybody looks at it that if you take money out of a house, it is dangerous, it is bad, and it is not a good idea. And I'm so thankful that he brought that up because that is really critical. Yes, sir? That's perfect. The heirs don't think it's a good idea. Even people that have bumper stickers on their motorhomes saying we're spending our children's inheritance worry about getting a reverse mortgage. So, do you know how to leave the maximum amount of money to your kids? Has anybody ever told you this in an estate plan or anything? You got to die early. The earlier you die, the more money you leave to your kids. If you live to be 80 or 90, the kids get a lot less money. So if you are really concerned about your kids, look, eat unhealthy, do bad things, and then die early because then your kids will get more money. Is that really the goal when you think about it? I mean, isn't that weird? And I hear about that all the time. And here's the strangest, funniest, weirdest disconnect that I've ever run into because you as real estate agents know this very clearly. If somebody comes to you and tells you, if you ask somebody that comes to you, what do you want to do with your house when you die? You know what 99 out of 100 people will tell you? I want to give my house to my kids free and clear. Guess how many kids move into their parents' houses, show up at the funeral with U-Haul trucks. After they bury their parents, they go drive over to the house and move in with their dogs and kids and furniture and everything else. 1 out of 100. So 99% of parents want to give their house to their kids, and 99% of kids don't want it. And as soon as they get it, and as soon as the parents die, they run over to your office and say, get this thing sold right away because we don't want to pay taxes, insurance, utilities, and everything else, so please get this thing sold. Yet there's a whole bunch of parents that want to give their house to their kids. It's weird. The kids don't want it. Give them life insurance, give them a mutual fund account, give them cash. But they really don't want your equity. They really don't. And just call, I tell people to call their kids up and ask them. But yet everybody wants to preserve their equity for their kids, and they don't want to lose the equity. If I were to ask you this afternoon what you wanted, this is equity, and this is cash, how many of you are going to take the equity? You know exactly what this is worth. You'll take this in a minute, because you know what you can do with this, and cash is more valuable in retirement than equity. And yet everybody wants to hang on to the equity. So we're going to talk just a lot in the next 40 minutes about this cash and equity disconnect and how you can make a difference in the lives of your clients. I'm going to put some pressure on you because you guys are incredibly important to make sure that for the next 20 years we don't screw up retirement in this country. Because this is really even a little bit bigger than a niche market. This is a really big deal that if we do it wrong in the next 20 years with 10,000 baby boomers a day turning 62, that we are going to screw things up. And it's not up to the financial planners, it's actually up to you. And your income will increase dramatically if you understand this concept. Because there's a whole bunch of realtors that do not understand this, and there's a whole bunch of people that if we call this a reverse mortgage seminar and we held it without everything else that's going on, about 1 or 2 of you would show up. Because, well, it's reverse mortgages. And even though it's an incredibly important niche market with silver divorce doubling in the last 10 years, a lot of people just don't understand it. How many of you are SRES, senior real estate specialists? 1, 2. So we have 2 SRESs, and you guys, by the way, happen to be in the middle of one of the retirement capitals of the world. There's a lot of old people down here like me that have gray hair. So that's something. You guys don't have very much competition, so that's a good thing. So what we're going to talk about is the 3 things that comes up every time. The heirs. There's one other thing that you guys didn't mention yet.
It's expensive.
Fees. Expensive. The fees, yes. Isn't that interesting? Same objections every time. I've done this well over a couple hundred times. There's always the same things that come up. Every time. And those same things are always just quick, okay, we got you there. That's the case. I sold my house up in northern Wisconsin, and I paid $26,000 in commission for real estate commissions. And somebody came to me and said, I hope you sold your house for sale by owner because you're smart in the real estate game and you know how to do this stuff and you got a mortgage company and everything else, so I hope you did it for sale by owner. I said, no, I paid $26,000 in real estate commissions and I'm proud of it. Really? He said, that's dumb. Why'd you do that? You could have done it yourself. I said, I paid $26,000. He said, was the realtor some special friend or you felt sorry for her or what's the deal? I said, no, I paid her the real estate commission of $26,000 for one reason, because she is worth it. And it was worth it to spend the $26,000. It wasn't stupid. Because if I would have spent all that time, it would have cost me more than $26,000 of what I could do in my business. And she got a higher price for it. And she didn't get ticked off at all the stupid comments that people said about the house. And I would have chased the buyer off because he was kind of a jerk. And I wouldn't have ever sold it for another year. So the bottom line is that you pay real estate commissions because they're worth it. How many of you rode here today in your bicycle? Nobody. That's because bicycles are cheaper. You get bicycles for under $1,000, and I bet you paid more than that for your car. Now that seems like a silly example, but you pay money for something because it's worth it. You get a reverse mortgage and you pay the higher fees because it's worth it. And the reason that it's worth it is because it's the only loan in the world that's due 1 year after you're dead. How many bills do you have that are due a year after you're dead? My guess is 0. So that's really good terms. If I can take out a loan today and never make a payment unless I want to for tax purposes for the rest of my life, and then my house owes the bill at the end, whoa, that's kind of a good deal. And you know when I pay the closing costs, those high fees? At the end. I may never pay them at all. Hopefully my house will appreciate enough, and if my house doesn't appreciate enough and I die in a year like 2009 or 2010, oh, guess what? FHA will pay it and I don't have to pay it at all. And they'll pay the realtor's commission when it's sold. How many of you have worked on the end of selling an upside-down house with a reverse mortgage? Does that happen with anybody? Okay. Was it difficult or easy or hard? He said it was the easiest of the transactions that he had, and the reason for that is this is the easiest short sale in the world if you understand it, because it's predetermined at the beginning. So we allow you to sell the house for 95% of the appraised value or the value of the home, whichever is lower, whenever you want to sell the house. And if there's not enough money, the rest is forgiven and we collect the rest from the FHA mortgage insurance program. So it doesn't cost you anything as the borrower except for the value of the equity that you're giving up and the equity that you're losing. So the fact is that reverse mortgages can sometimes be complicated, can sometimes be misunderstood. There's some people that have bad experiences with them or frustrations with them. But the bottom line is it's really one of the easiest things that you can get done. So in the next little bit of time that we have together, I want to make sure that I cover some of the important things. But I want to give you the lay of the land of what's going on with retirement. I'm going to scare you a little bit here. This is going to get a little dark for a minute. We've never had this happen. 10,000 people turn 62 every day. It is, sometimes referred to as the silver tsunami, the gray march, all of these weird terms. And the fact is that we've never had this many people get old. And for those of you that are under 30, you got to pay for us in nursing homes. That costs $10,000 a month if we don't properly prepare. So even young people want to be concerned about this. My kids are concerned about it. They're all in their 20s. So I bought my first house in 1981. Anybody old enough to remember what I paid for it in interest rate? Any guesses? 18 to 20%. That's what it was at the bank. I got a screaming deal on a land contract at 16.5. I was excited that I got 16.5, refinanced for 12.5. My wife and I went out and got steak and lobster because we were saving gobs of money. May 12, 1990, our second son is born. And on the front page of the USA Today, the day he was born, interest rates dropped to 9.9%, sparking a refi boom. My niece called me last week and said, "Whoa, are interest rates below 4 yet? I mean, this is really expensive." I texted her back and said, "Get over it. I paid 16.5 for my first house." So why do I bring that up? Because on the flip side, what do you think people were earning in retirement? CDs were paying 10, 12, 14, 16%. My dad retired with $200,000 and got a guaranteed return of 16% for the majority of the first 10 years of his retirement because he locked in a CD. And that's more than what you can make on $1 million today, 30, 40 years later from the retirement thing. This is not the retirement that everybody had back in. This is not your father's retirement, this is not your grandfather's retirement. So now we got all these baby boomers that have not completely prepared, which I'm one of them. My father came home from World War II in 1946, married my mom, had my older brother, and that started this whole baby boom thing. Well, him and a few other people, obviously, but there's a lot of babies born, millions and millions and millions, and it's affected every major demographic from Gerber baby food to Schwinn bicycles to bell-bottom jeans to Beatles music to station wagons and minivans and Woodstock and all of the things that you can think about all the way through. And here's the scenario of what we're looking at. They're moving because they want to be closer to family. They're moving because they want to reduce home expenses, change in health status, change in marital status, the divorce thing that we're going to talk about, empty nesting, children moving out, and simply wanting some cash. And here's what happens over here. 20%, 27% of 50-plus retirees are going to move in the next 5 years. That's 1 out of 4 people. And that means that's a double sale because they got to sell their house and buy another one. That's a group you want to pay attention to because when my son got his house, he's renting. So he doesn't have to sell a house, he's just buying a house. So the real estate agent is going to get 1 commission. With seniors, you get 2 because they sell and right size or downsize or, guess what, upsize. This is something that might surprise some of you. 51% downsize, make a smaller home. Only 51% though. 19% buy the same size or the same priced house, and 30% get a bigger house and a more expensive house. 1/3 get a bigger house and a more expensive house. Why does that happen? Because baby boomers do not want to move to Apache Junction in a trailer house like my aunt did. They want something nicer, something bigger. I want a home theater in my retirement home. I don't have time to watch movies now, but I will have when I retire. My wife wants a much bigger kitchen because she's going to do more cooking. We'll go out to eat less. So the fact is baby boomers want more in their house, and they can't always afford more. So let's say that I sell my little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Marshfield, Wisconsin for $150,000. And I come down here and I said, I've heard things are wonderful in Arizona, and I want at least a 2,500 square foot house on a golf course, and I got $150,000 because I know that house prices are pretty good down here. You're gonna start taking me out for 100, and I don't want a house payment, so I got 150 grand. You're gonna start showing me $150,000 houses? You're gonna send me back to Wisconsin. What are you gonna do? You wanna get houses like that back here. But if you notice that I have gray hair and you find out that I'm over 62, you're gonna say, Harlan, you know the people over at Fairway do reverse mortgages, and you can come in with $150,000 and buy a $300,000 house, or you can pull 50 grand out of your investment account, come in with $200,000 and buy a $400,000 house. Now we can start looking at some golf course houses, because you just doubled the amount of money that I can spend on a house. Is that good or bad for my heirs? I'm going to get a $400,000 house in Chandler instead of buying a $100,000 trailer house in Apache Junction. Obviously, my kids are going to be better off 10, 15, 20 years from now. So that's something that you can automatically do in making a difference for your clients, is giving them borrowing power. Because what you could do is say, well, put $200,000 down and then get a $200,000 mortgage. Yeah, so at 65, I'm going to be making mortgage payments at about 95. Does that make sense? Not really, but people do it all the time. 700,000 homes. The National Association of Realtors, you guys sold last year 700,000 to people over the age of 62. 400,000 of them got forward mortgages. And they're going to be making payments for the next 15 to 30 years, depending upon what they took. It doesn't make sense. Only 3,000 people used a reverse mortgage for purchase. Now that's our fault that we didn't educate you guys in that. It's only been around since 2009, but it is the most fantastic way to buy a house if you're over 62 and you can get more house for your money. It's better for your financial situation, proven by financial advisors over and over, and yet the majority of people either pay cash and settle for something smaller, or they come into the scenario and say, well, I'll put $200,000 down, we'll finance the other 200 because I don't want too big of a payment. But at least I'm going to be able to get into the picture. So think about everybody over, that's a heck of a senior discount. Maybe you can advertise that, I don't know. Anybody over 62, half price houses until Friday. That's kind of what a reverse mortgage is. You're coming in with 200 grand and you're going to give me a $400,000 house. You're going to be an absolute hero. Because what is the single biggest expense in retirement? And I'm going to get back to the burden that I'm going to place on you here in a minute. What's the single biggest expense in retirement? What was that? Golf. Golf could be one, yes. Depends on the person. Everybody guesses healthcare, and that's only the most expensive thing until the last 2 years of life. The most expensive thing in retirement is housing. You guys are more important than all the financial advisors out there who wear the suits and ties and think they're really cool, and realtors and loan officers are not a big deal. And I gotta be careful because there's financial advisors we're gonna talk to in a couple of hours, and I like them too. But financial advisors think that they're more important than you guys. And in some ways they are. They know a lot of things that you don't know, and of course you know things they don't know. But you have a bigger impact on how people are gonna buy a house and how they're gonna finance a house than anybody else in their life that they're going to run into from 60 to 70 to 75 years old. You are incredibly important, and if you get them into a mortgage, like a real estate agent and a loan officer did in Indiana that we just ran into last week, and what they did is they had this 85-year-old lady, and she wanted to buy a house. Her husband died, and she had $100,000 from his life insurance policy, and she couldn't be in the house that she was at anymore, and there was no equity in the house that she had because of the what the husband had done with mortgaging it and putting it into the maintenance that was done. So all she had was $100,000 to put down in the house. So she bought a nice $200,000 house on one level and financed the other $100,000 with about a $500-600 payment. And she qualified because she had a job, and then she got sick and she lost her job. And now she's living on $700 in Social Security. Guess what happened to her? She's in foreclosure. And she's getting kicked out of her house at 85 and losing a majority of the $100,000 that she put down. The loan officer nor the realtor told her anything about a reverse mortgage at all, maybe because they didn't know about it. We went in there to try to do a reverse mortgage, and we can't because now she's too far gone. The value of the house went down a little bit because of the area that she bought it in, and worse yet, she's behind in her mortgage payments and she's delinquent on her taxes, so we can't even help her. And now this 85-year-old lady is moving out, and her life has changed forever, and she's going to go into Section 8 housing. That's her only option that she has left because the real estate agent and the loan officer did not know about it a year ago. Actually, actually it was about 2 years ago because it all came to fruition with the foreclosure last year. So that is the thing that I'm going to put the burden on you, properly buying a house in your 60s, because there's nothing more uncertain. The time between 60 and 90 is a whole lot different between 40 and 60. And that is a very uncertain time. And not knowing if you're going to have a job, not knowing if you're going to have health, there's a whole bunch of factors that really, it's kind of like, whoa, this is kind of weird. And so the bottom line is if you can help people get into a house that they never have any payment for the rest of their life, except for taxes and insurance and HOA fees, that's about as cheap as Section 8 housing in many areas of the country. It's a really big deal, and you can make a dramatic difference. And by the way, it helps you out because you can help the people upsize, downsize, right-size, and get a house that actually is a little bit nicer than what they even thought they could get. Maybe for $400,000, like me coming down from Wisconsin, instead of a $200,000 house. That's really significant. And if you can help out a retiree, and what happens if dad dies? Because the men always die first. And when the men die first, is she going to be able to afford that house without him? That's some real big issues that you got to ask somebody like that, because usually the guy dies and the women live for another 10 years. And us men do a really bad job of preparing them for that fact that could happen, because most people do not die within a week of each other in a fairy tale world in a Hallmark movie channel. Usually the wife is left, and the widow is in a situation where she's in an extremely difficult situation. Do you know that in the richest country in the world, 1 out of 5 widows over 65 are already in poverty, and much of it has to do with housing? 1 out of 5 widows are already in poverty. Many of them have never been there before. And 30% of people there's 10,000 people today turning 62, 30% of them still have a mortgage. 30%. So that means that there are thousands of people a year or a month that are moving into retirement with a mortgage payment, and most of them don't need one. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's talk real quick about what a reverse mortgage is, and in the time that we have, we'll kind of get some specifics together that will help you. The only real solution is with trying to figure out the reverse mortgage is not just listening to me for an hour. I'll give you an overview, and I'm going to change your mindset a little bit. But you need to talk to the folks at Fairway and the people that are trained in reverse mortgages, and make sure that you get with them to find out how this would work with your client. There's some brochures in your package that talks a little bit about the reverse mortgage product, how it works, those things that you can hand out to your people. And I know that Terry Nettles is here, if you can stand up, and Eddie Rodriguez, and let's see, who else is here from, oh yes, I'm sorry, right over there at that table, there's a whole bunch of them, so make sure you get a chance to say, I didn't see you guys back there, you're way back there. So it's very important that you get with these folks and ask them, how would this work for a client that's over 62? How does it actually happen, and what's involved in putting these together? Now, here's the rules. You got to be over 62 unless you have a spouse that's older. So for some of you that are single and in your 40s, you look at ourtime.com for somebody over 62 that you can get into. If you're married, keep your present spouse. But if you're single, get somebody older, because then you can get into the reverse mortgage program early and not have a payment. Okay, you got to live in the home. So this has got to be a primary residence. So if I come down here and I'm only buying a second home, that doesn't work. So I need to be in the home for at least 6 months out of the year that is my primary residence. And by the way, it's tax-free. This does not affect Social Security, Medicare, anything like that. You keep the title of your home. I wish I had $100. I wish I had $1 for every time somebody said, oh, that's where the bank takes the house. No, this is not where the bank takes the house. You own the property, and the mortgage is not due until a year after you're dead. The only way we take the house is if you don't pay taxes and insurance, and the kids don't help us sell the house at the end. This is your house. This is not the bank's house. Banks are terrible at owning houses. Have you ever done a bank repo sale? I mean, banks don't have a clue as to how to manage house properties. So it's not a good idea for us to own houses. We're not into owning houses. We're into lending money and collecting interest. That's what our business is. So the bottom line is that when you get a reverse mortgage, the deed's in your name. So if you die the next day, whatever equity you have belongs to you or your heirs, not to us. We don't own the house. And that's a huge misconception. I was walking out of the hotel in Grand Junction, Colorado a couple weeks ago, and this guy said, so what are you doing here? I've seen you around the hotel for a while. And I said, well, I actually teach in reverse mortgages. He said, nobody's ever going to catch me with that stupid scam. I said, oh, what kind of scam is it? He said, well, it's a trick. I mean, you get in there and they give you $10,000 or $20,000 and then you die the next day and they take your house. I mean, I'm not that stupid. I said, yeah, I'm not either. I wouldn't do that because that's not the deal. That's not the way it works. If we give you $10,000 or $20,000, you owe $10,000 or $20,000 back. You don't owe the whole amount of the house back. Just like with a regular forward mortgage, if you owe $150 and your house is worth $300, you get the other $150 when you sell it. It's simply a mortgage, a lien against the property. The rules have changed. Did anybody see the video of the guy being dragged off the United Airlines plane with his glasses crooked and blood running down his face? That was really bad PR. And we did something like that. That was really bad PR. We let people get into houses that they couldn't afford because we had to allow them to go in there. And then they couldn't afford the taxes and the insurance. And guess what happens when you can't afford the taxes and insurance? You get foreclosed on. If you want to foreclose on widows and get on the front page of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, ABC News with Diane Sawyer, reverse mortgages look really bad. We foreclose on widows. What happens if you don't have a reverse mortgage and you don't pay your taxes and insurance? You lose your house, same deal. Same result. It's just that we look bad because we're the ones that are foreclosing because that's FHA rules. If you don't pay your taxes and insurance, we have to foreclose because you don't owe us any money, but you owe the county money and you've got to pay that. So now we have basic credit and income qualifications that you must qualify before you are allowed to do that, to get into a reverse mortgage, to prove that you have enough money to pay HOA fees, taxes, and insurance. They've demonstrated a history of doing that in the past. It's not about credit scores. It's not about debt ratios or anything like you see in forward mortgages. It's easier to qualify for a reverse than it is a forward. But you have to make sure that you can demonstrate that you're not buying a house above your means in a neighborhood that you can't afford. So there are basic credit and income qualifications. But you get tax-free cash from equity. If you're 90 years old, you get 75% of the value of your house. So you only have to bring, if I'm 90 and I only have to bring $100,000 to the table for a $400,000 house. If I'm 62, I have to bring 50% in. So I bring in $200,000 to get a $400,000 house. But I never make a payment again. I have to have a big down payment, but I'm done making payments for the rest of my life. So that's the 45 to 75%. The reason it's 45 is if you have a younger spouse, you might get a little bit less than 50%. Never a monthly payment unless you want to make them. So he mentioned before, you lose equity. You will only lose equity if you don't make payments. You can make payments if you wish. And a lot of people do because they want to have tax, write off the interest for tax purposes, or they simply want to maintain a certain amount of equity in their home. But it's optional. Imagine if you get a letter on your 62nd birthday that said, congratulations, you just made it to 62. And we are going to, because you've done such a great job of taking care of equity in your home, you no longer have to make a mortgage payment every month. If you want, you can make it once a year. You can make them monthly if you want, but you can also pay them once every 5 years or 10 years or a year after you're dead. It's up to you as to when you want to make the payments. You really pay attention to a letter like that. It's kind of like, wow, this is interesting. Payments are optional. So a lot of people make no payments at all. A lot of people make payments for the tax purposes. So that's what you can do when you buy a house with a reverse. Now, both people have to die as long as both people are on the mortgage. If somebody is not on the mortgage, let's say I'm divorced and then I marry somebody else after I get my house, she's not on the mortgage, only I'm on the mortgage. And so she's going to get kicked out if we don't refinance the loan into both her names, which is the same thing as a forward, quite frankly. But that's why the story's out, oh, the widows get kicked out of the house. When my in-laws bought a house with a reverse mortgage, he went down to McDonald's and was all excited. Hey, we're buying this house for only X number of dollars. And the guy at McDonald's said, do you have any idea how stupid that is, Albert? Do you know that you're going to own more in the house than it's worth, and your kids are going to be left with a debt? And then Franny's going to get kicked out of the house when you die because you're going to die before her, and she's going to be homeless. I mean, who the hell is taking advantage of you, Albert? He said, well, my son-in-law. So that obviously prompted a conversation the next day at McDonald's to explain to them that no, it's not like that. That's not the way that it works, but that's what everybody thinks. Oh, the widows are going to get kicked out of the house. The widows only get kicked out of the house if they're not part of the original program. And that's the sad thing that's went over and over. If you Google widows and reverse mortgages, you will find thousands, tens of thousands of hits of things that have been written about how widows get kicked out of the house. There's been very few widows that have been kicked out of the house, quite frankly, because we give them a lot of ability to refinance and be on the loan if they're of age. But sometimes it happens and then it looks really bad. Now, think about it this way. The best way to explain a reverse mortgage is it's like a Swiss Army knife. So there's 3 tools of how to use a reverse mortgage. The first tool is the one you will use the most, and that's the big long tool on the top that is a cash amount that you're going to take out the full lump sum right off the bat. So you're going to pull the whole lump sum out, and you're going to use it to buy a house. So I come in with 200, Fairway comes in with 200, I've got a $400,000 house. Very easy, very simple. I got a half price house and never have to make another payment unless I want to for the rest of my life. So that's the lump sum. I could also pull out a lump sum to pay off an existing mortgage, which a lot of our clients do, so they can afford a second home. You know how many people cannot afford a second home because they think they can't because they don't want to make 2 payments? They can afford a second home if we pay off the mortgage on their first home, and then they can afford the second home because there is no debt ratio now from the first home. They don't have to make payments anymore, so now they can own a vacation home up in Prescott or Flagstaff or wherever they are, maybe northern Wisconsin. That's an option now that they have for a second home. So that's a really cool thing to use the lump sum to pay off an existing mortgage or to get a new mortgage on purchase. The next tool is really exciting because it's a credit line. And the line of credit is just simply money that you pull out to use for other purposes. We just had a lady in Washington that pulled out $300,000 out of her house to buy her daughter, and help her daughter buy a house, which is really expensive in Seattle. She still had to bring some more money, but her daughter could not afford the house. So the realtor came to our loan officer and said, I can't get this lady to get qualified. And the mother wants to help, but she doesn't want to pull money out of her IRAs because of tax issues and everything else, and I don't know how to put this deal together. And our loan officer said, well, what's the deal with mom's house? Well, she's got a house paid off, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. No, it has a lot to do with it because if we pull the money out of mom's house, the $300,000, and give it to the daughter can now afford the $600,000 house that she's buying in Seattle. The realtor got a $600,000 sale because we were able to pull out the $300,000 for the daughter that couldn't afford it because she's a single mom because of the divorce, and now she can move into the house, be close to her mom, and have babysitting stuff and all that kind of thing going on simply because we used a line of credit to pull money out of mom's existing house. Doesn't it make more sense to inherit your own house than your parents' house? I mean, why not give the money away now rather than wait until you're dead? When you die, you're 80, 90 years old, your kids are 50 and 60, they don't probably need your money as much as they do now. So that was a perfect scenario with the line of credit. The third tool is a monthly payment. And people use that, and you won't deal with this as much, but that's where they take a monthly payment out. You put all the money into it, now you're taking the money back out. So you get $1,000 a month, or you get $1,500 a month, or you get $2,000 a month. And some people will use the line of credit or this to pay for rental properties so that they have greater cash flow. Not only second homes, but rental properties. So when you're selling rental properties or you're selling second homes, it's very important to understand what they have in their current home, because if they do a reverse mortgage on that, they don't have a payment on their other home, and they have a very small payment now on the house that they buy. Or maybe none at all. If I've got a more expensive enough house up in Wisconsin, I can come down here and pay cash for a rental property or for a second home. So that's a very significant way to use it. So there's also a fourth tool, and that is just a combination of all three of these things. So if I got my house mostly paid down and I have $50,000 to pay off, I can take out a $200,000 credit line in addition to that and use that for whatever purposes. There's a realtor in South Carolina that does this reverse mortgage, did a reverse mortgage on her house, and she uses it to flip houses. So she pulls money out, buys a flip house, fixes it up, and then goes on to the next one and keeps paying down her line of credit. You say, can't she do that with a regular line of credit? Yeah, but then you've got a payment with a regular line of credit. How many people lost lines of credit in 2009? Like a whole ton of people. I lost mine. They just called me up and said, your line of credit is no longer available. Chase Banks, they didn't call me up, they sent me a letter. I called them up and I said, hey, how can you cancel my line of credit? And they said, well, because we think the value of your house went down. I said, no, it's in Wisconsin. It never went up, so it couldn't have went down. And they didn't buy that. They canceled. They called me back last month and said, would you like to reinstate your line of credit? Well, from 2009 to 2017, I have no line of credit. I could have got one earlier, but the bottom line is that right when you might want it or need it the most, your line of credit gets canceled. Lines of credit with reverse mortgages never get canceled as long as you pay your taxes and insurance. Never. You've got them for the rest of your life if you live to be 102, and they even go up every year. And that's a whole other thing that we talk with the financial advisors about a little bit later. So those are the three ways to get money out. Now, this works for 1 to 4 unit properties. We had a pastor that retired to Kansas. He bought a 4-unit, lives in one, makes no payments, and collects on all the rest. Some condos have to be FHA approved. By the way, I don't know if you've heard, but FHA is going to change the rules on condos by this fall, and it's going to be much easier to get a condo FHA approved forward or reverse. Pretty exciting stuff. We've worked with them, the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association, because a lot of seniors buy condos, and so condos are going to be much easier to handle by the time we hit September, October. Or that's what they tell us. Maybe it'll be November or December, but this year they definitely got it on. Townhouses, properties held in trust, properties held in revocable or irrevocable trust. Now, I want to go back here to a diagram that I kind of skipped over because this is an important one. Okay, now there's a lot of people that say, yeah, you know, that all sounds good, but you guys sell reverse mortgages, so obviously you're going to make them sound good. But really, let's go back to what the gentleman said right at the beginning. You lose equity, and the bank is taking a good portion of your house. And that is very true, and we need to explain this, and you need to be able to explain this to your clients, because if you mention reverse mortgages to a majority of your clients, they are 90% of them are going to say, no, we don't want one of those. And that's about as far as it's going to go. But if you can say, just a minute, I want you to think a little bit about it. This is the way that you can do this. And the reason I know this works is because this diagram actually comes from a conversation that I had with my then 16-year-old son about not only $1,000 a month. Look at the CD and the LE. It's $12,000 a year. It's $120,000 over a period of 2 years, or 10 years. And that ends up being $360,000 on that original $200,000 loan that started out way over there. That is what people need to understand. You are making a decision. When I'm taking a $400,000 loan out, I'm not paying back $400 grand. I am paying back about $650. I've got to take $650 out of bucket one, bucket two in an uncertain retirement, and dump $650,000 into bucket three. It is not a couple thousand a month. It's not $1,800 a month. It's not $500 a month. It's not $2,400 a month. It's $200,000, $500,000, $700,000. Look on the CD and the LE. That's how much money has got to be transferred over to bucket three. So if instead I take option number three, so option one is $500 grand for cash. Option two is I pay $100,000 down and then another $650,000 or $750,000 back. Or I go to option three and I pay $250 one time and I never make another payment. Now, didn't we hear that reverse mortgages are expensive? What's the cheapest option? $250 and pay the rest of it a year after I'm dead out of the home equity. And if the home equity went up, great, that'll pay it off. If the home equity went way up and I got a bunch left, that'll go to my kids. And if my home equity didn't go up, I don't have to pay it back. But I lived in that house for 10, 20, 30 years for $250,000 and never paid anything more besides the taxes and insurance, which I would have paid anyway. So that is the best way to buy a house. And I'd be happy to talk to any.
We good? Excited? Busy? Wake up. There's coffee back there. You guys are dead from the cheesecake, right? I can't eat cheesecake. I'm going to show in 16 days, so I really want that bar and I want to eat it all, right? But the whole purpose, there we go, is you're here to learn about social media, right? Some guy stalked me on Facebook, reached out to me, asked me if I'd come present to some people, and I said, yeah, why not? I teach classes, why not teach a couple hundred people and teach you guys how to make money, right? My mom's been a realtor for 32 years, and the number one thing that she installed with me was a 4-letter word, and it's called free. You guys want free lunch, free happy hour, and free leads, right? And if you get free leads, then what? Then you make more money, and then if you make more money, you're happy, and then everything kind of world goes evolved, and you're good to go, correct? So we're going to go through a little bit of process. Typically, my class is about 2 hours that I teach. I only advertise it on social media, so if any of you guys want to do a follow-up class, I'm going to do a couple with James here. My last class I dropped in a private group and 15 minutes on Facebook, and it filled up. So I take about 30, we'll do a room, but I go a little more in depth into it. I do a little coaching. I've researched this for years, and when I was doing this, people told me I was stupid. They told me I didn't know what I was doing, and they told me that what I was doing basically made no sense. When I started hashtagging, they said, hashtags don't work on Facebook. Why are you doing that? And then now, I look at it and everybody tries to mimic it, right? So what I've created over years, people are trying to implement right now because what they think is it is a quick race, but it's not. It's a marathon, right? We're in this business to be in it for a long duration, right? Not a short term. You want to roll with it. You want to have systems, right? So a lot of you saw my table when you came in. And what you failed to look at was I gave you the Bible of how to post on social media, and I think 3 of you picked it up. So I literally gave you everything that you need right here. And now they're gone. They're hidden. Now you got to come to me to get it, right? That's what you have to do. You have to act like the dealer instead of trying to find the dealer. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. How to engage with an audience, how to get an audience that you can turn and steer towards you, that they want to pay attention to what you're doing. So I'm going to ask a few little questions. We're going to do little stretching routines with our hands, right? So everybody raise your hand. How many people have been on Facebook today? Weird, right? How many people have posted on Facebook today? Weird. Now here's another analytical thing. I'm going to ask a question. You all have your personal page. We're not talking about the one that you boosted and paid $400 to get a ton of likes. We're talking about your personal page. So everybody put your hand up. As I pass you, drop your hand. How many people have had 50 likes on a photo? 100 likes. If I go and you haven't hit 100 likes, drop your hand. 150, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 1,600, 1,700. Whose hand's left up in the room? That's on a personal page. Crazy, right? And people wonder, like, how do you do it? Like, she's looking at me like, what in the crap? And I didn't pay anybody. I learned and implement a system that engages people to follow what I do. And a lot of times what they do is they may not like my post, but they'll see and they'll know everything about me when I walk into a room. What I'm doing, where I've been, how I've been doing things and stuff like that. And what the main purpose that I started with is why. Every time when somebody posts, they think it's the greatest analogy in their brain that this is something that they need to do. But what they don't take into consideration is what the public is wanting to hear. You guys are realtors, right? You guys, some are lenders, some are some title people, some are some other people in the room that are here that are vendors. But how we post is the most important way to engage an audience, correct? Yes? I can't hear you. There's coffee back there, I promise. I'm loading on nothing, so I'm excited to be here. But energy, right? Energy. Why are you here? Why is the focus? Because you want to create leads and you want to create more money, right? If you create more money, happiness is there. You can buy the things that you want to get. You get the goals, you get the car, you get the house, you get the girl, right? That's what they say. So why? Why was the post important to you to post at that time, right? A lot of times what happens is we get this really great idea or it's something that we want to implement. Remember when we were kids and we get birthday money and the first thing we did was we went to the store and we bought a crap ton of candy? Because that was like the first thing we wanted. It was like burning a hole in our pocket. That's how you all post. You get something excited and then I just want to drop it right now and then. Guess what? There's a time to post. There's content that you have to post. There's a way to edit your post. And there's verbiage that you have to use to post to steer an audience to make them engage to you. And I'm going to go through that. So why? Why is the purpose? Why are you guys here? Anybody want to tell me why you're here? Instead of just to stare at me and look at me and like figure out what I'm trying to talk about? Learn what?
Learn how to do more social media.
Learn more social media. How many times do you post a week?
Probably about 5.
About 5. About 5 or 5?
5.
Okay, we'll go with 5. How many likes do you get on each post?
It'll vary, depending on how interesting it is.
How interesting it is, right? How interesting you are. You're an interesting person, so you want to engage with people that they're going to be interesting, right? See, all these questions that I'm going to ask you, you need a chart. When I started my business, what I did is I would post Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would write what I posted about, was there a photo involved, was there a video involved, how many likes I got, how many comments I got, and then I was able to analytically drop stuff, and I knew exactly what I was going to get for my engagement when I would make a post. Because I started with the purpose of why. Why am I making this post, and what is my outcome going to be from this post? It's no different than a marketing piece that you put out there and things like that. We always want the quickest response. So the quickest response is going to be we think it's just a home run because somebody else did it and it worked for them. I'm going to do it and that's going to work for me. But that's not necessarily how things work. Because your business is your business, and their business is their business. I had a client the other day, and he goes, man, you get tagged in all this stuff, and I didn't really want to tag you in it because I felt like it just wouldn't go anywhere, right? And I said, that's cool. I said, how many friends do we have in common? And he said, oh, we have 140. I said, so basically you left out 4,708 people that couldn't see your post. I said, how did we connect? He goes, on Facebook, but how did we connect? Oh, our friend G recommended that I use you because he saw that you do the social media stuff, so that's how we connected. I'm like, right, because he tagged me in a post, and then he just kind of stood there and looked at me. And I was like, right. So think about that, right? So you got to think of the process. There's everybody's business is different, and I'm just going to kind of give you stuff, and it works for you, great. If you don't want to do it, great. But write down a ton of questions. If you have them, I'll answer them. So the next thing, your name, right? Who sells the house? Apparently nobody in the room. Nobody in the room sells the house. Who sells the house? Right, and what is your name? Everybody forgot their name. It's been on your birth certificate since you were born, so let's focus on this. What is your name? Right, who sells the house? That is your brand. No matter where you go, where you end up at, it is your name that sells the house and it is your brand, correct? So when you walk into a room and they know your name, and they know who you are, and they sell the house, they're going to remember you, right? They're not going to be like, I don't know, they didn't tell me their name. Right? That's the thing, right? And Jay's right. I didn't carry business cards up for years because my platform is I just want to get everybody on my social media page because it's the easiest way for me to stay in contact with people. And when I give them my business card, they lose it. 90% of people, when you give them a card, they just like, oh man, I misplaced that or I couldn't find it and I don't know what's going on. So if you can get them on something that's going to be your brand that you're creating, that's what you're trying to do, right? Back in the day, it was all, everybody needs a website. Right? I can't function without a website, right? And then, you know, it's crazy how social media is involved because I remember when we had MySpace and you had your top 12 friends and if you moved your one friend from position 1 to position 3, they called you and they asked, why? So like, do you like them better than me now? Or like, what happened here? You know, and it's people, right? So how does that work? Because I have a client that does this, right? She was my guinea pig. And when I started this years ago, I said, hey, would you do me a favor and try this process with me because I really think it's going to work and I think that the market is changing and I think people are becoming lazier. And she goes, I don't think anybody can get lazier than they are now. I'm like, oh yeah, no, they can. They can get real lazy. And I said, well, let me just start a process with you. And I said, I want you to follow my system of how I'm posting on social media and how you engage. And I want you to do it reverse of how everybody's been taught over the last years, right? And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, everybody tells you when you get into real estate or any type of thing, you need a business page, right? How many people have been to a class and they're like, you have to have a business page. If you don't have a business page, you're not going to succeed, right? And they say, and then when you have a business page, and they still do it, but they're like 2 years behind, right? It's like, I'm from North Dakota, okay, and I just went up there for a wedding. They're like 5 years behind. So that's what a lot of people, when they're doing these presentations, they're telling these people the wrong things. Yeah, did it work? Absolutely it worked 2 years ago, right? Because your business page was great, right? You can boost things, you can run advertisements, you can run sponsored ads. And then they were like, oh, by the way, you need to have it, and it needs to be like Phoenix Valley real estate expert, right? So I changed with her, and I said, I want your business page to be your name. I want you to herd them like cats. I want you to start them from your personal page and ship them to your business page versus just trying to get them on your business page, right? She's like, okay. First year we closed 53,000. Following year, 121. Last year was 168K. This year it'll be 321,000. And guess what? It was free, right? Because she was able to post it. She's right. What? She spends $5 on a sponsored ad and gets a ton of leads. Now she double ends stuff. So now she's got people coming to her lead source when she's dropping things because she's got such a following that now she gets the buyer and the seller. Right? Because why? She created a presence with her brand. So a lot of people, they'll come up to me and they're like, man, I see you everywhere on Facebook. And I'm like, cool, then it's working. And then they're like, and you like my post all the time. Well, I like everybody's post all the time. So, but it doesn't mean I don't like you, I just like your post, I like it. But why would I do that? Why would I like everybody's post? Why would I make time to like people's posts? You want to say that louder? But if I like 400 posts, then I'm on 400 people's different pages, right? On top of my other stuff. Y'all are thinking, you're like, man, I need to start liking people's page, right? How many people go to the bathroom during the day and you're on your phone? Like some posts, okay? Like some posts, because I all know back in the day before we had social media, we just read like the shampoo bottle and stuff like that or whatever is in there just to pass the time or something like that. I know you're laughing because you know it's true. Like we've grown up, we've done these things, so that's just what happens, right? So how many people want to make 168 grand off social media? Well, with my system, it makes you a minimum of 45 grand. You should close 7 deals a year easily off this stuff. Why? Because your clients on your Facebook are your low-hanging fruit. When you get in this business, the number one thing that a coach would tell you is like, go after your low-hanging fruit, right? And then you just beat the crap out of the low-hanging fruit in a really, really nice way. You nurture it, you get it going, you're posting, you're talking about all these warm and fluffy things that they do and things like that. And that's what you're doing. You're engaging an audience to want to listen to you, right? As soon as I drop a dollar sign, all of a sudden everybody's like up from their phones and they're looking at me like, I want to make 168 grand. Sounds like a good idea for you right now, right? So hashtags. We know what a hashtag is besides everybody tells me it's the pound symbol. Anybody? Anybody? Trending topics. You know the best site to look up hashtags on what the best hashtag to post is? Instagram. Do you know if you go to Instagram and you hashtag and you write in whatever you think you're going to do? So here's the thing, right? A lot of you are thinking about the hashtags that you put on your page. Like, I love unicorns, I love cupcakes, I'm mad at my boyfriend today, like, I want relationship goals, things like that. That is affiliated with you for the rest of your life and duration of you owning a Facebook page. So think about it, right? So be conscientious on your hashtags, right? So you guys are all writing this down, but the people that picked up my flyer, they have it. It's written down, right? Yeah, cool. So there's 3 people in the room that grabbed the flyer. So we're good. We're off to a great start. How many people are going to grab the flyer once they leave the room? Right, there we go. See how that works? I'm acting like the dealer, right? I'm the dealer. You need me, so I got you, right? So now we're good to go. So what do? My 4 hashtags that I always say to put on posts. Number 1 would be your name. Number 2 would be your name with your business page. So whatever your business page name is, let's go around the room here. Who has a business page? Raise your hand. What's your business page name? Destination Sunshine. What's your name? Who sells the house? Do you think that somebody looks up Destination Your Home? I'm sorry, what was it again? They do, right? How many likes do you have on your page? How many deals do you get a year from your page? See what I'm saying? People look up. You have to understand. I'll give you an analogy that'll back that up. Somebody recommends to go to a restaurant, right? They say, this is the best restaurant ever. I need you to go to this restaurant. And they give you the link, and you open up the link, and then you want to look at what's on the menu, right? And on the menu, you can only see 3 items. And 3 of the items are $65 a piece, right? But you can only see 80% of the menu is gone. Are you going to want to go to that restaurant thinking that each plan and meal that you're going to buy is 65 bucks? No. Why? Because you didn't make it simplistic for them. You have to give them the easiest avenue of everything. How many people have been over the years to a multi-level marketing scheme where it's like the pyramid? Where it starts here, it comes down, you drop down. Well, that's what the hashtags are doing. They're zoning you in. They're giving other avenues for people to find you. If people can find you easy, are they going to work with you? Right. They're want to find you. The easiest source to do that is hashtags doing that. So if you've got a business page, and I'm sorry that I'm picking on you, but please change it to your first name. And you can still have the end of it be whatever you want. But you want people, when they look you up, to be like, oh yeah, I totally know this person. They want to just look it up and they want to have it there. And then run your analytics on that. Find out how many people are liking your page a week. Find out how many deals you're getting off that. I had a client that I did a coaching call with the other day, and we switched this all up. He was the same reason, he did the same thing you did, right? And I talked to him and I said, how's it going? He goes, it's going great, man. I said, yeah, I see you're getting a lot of engagement on social media. How's it working for you? He's like, amazing, John. He's like, I literally do everything you tell me to do. And I said, well, what's your pipeline right now? He goes, in the next 3 months, I'm going to close $4.2 million. And I said, okay. I said, but last year you closed 3.1. So in 3 months, you're going to close more business than you did in the last year. Why? And he goes, dude, 4.1 of it is social media. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, because people on my page are seeing me posting all the time of friends, and I'm constantly in their face, and they're reaching out to me now that they want to buy or sell a property. Because the biggest thing is like, we want to post, right? We want to talk about things, and we post on Monday. And then we wait again until Thursday. And then we wait again until Sunday. Well, Facebook, I'm sorry to tell you, is a popularity contest, and you're only as good as your last post. And if your algorithms show that you're not doing that, that's a quick word, so I can't say that 3 times fast, but they want to see your engagement. Facebook is paid by running ads next to your name. So if you're popular and you get a lot of engagement, that's where they're going to put their ad. Because they have to go back to these companies and say, look, I put you up next to these people's name. They always get 400, 500, 600 likes on stuff, and that's why I had your information right next to them all the time. You guys know that you gave Facebook speech access to you on your phone? So now when you guys talk about shopping at certain areas, all of a sudden ads come up because they can record your conversation, right? So kind of think about that. Right, you guys are laughing, you're like, well, I'm going to turn my phone off from now on and not have that happen. So hashtags, you got your hashtags, you got your landing sites, right? Now you can hashtag, when people buy a home, they want to know where the school district it's in, right? City, state, zip, landing platforms, gourmet kitchen, subdivision. Things like this are very important because especially for, okay, here's the analogy, and I'll own this. Women make all decisions, right? Men, we just want a backyard and a garage to park our crap in and to sit out in the backyard when we get in trouble. Right? That's basically how life goes. Dan's shaking his head because he's like, yeah, I just want to park my car in there and clean it. When I'm getting yelled at, I'm just going to stay in the backyard. Well, she wants a nice kitchen. She wants a nice shower. She wants a big closet to hang her crap and purses and shoes and stuff, right? So talk about it. Like if you write in hashtag gourmet kitchen and it's affiliated with your stuff and it's trending with your name and stuff and you create a landing page, right? That's what's going to happen. Typically I have a little marker and I break it down for you guys, but what happens is you go to a listing presentation, right? And I'm a realtor and I'm going up against you. And we're dead even, right? They're like, I like you guys both. And then I come before you and I talk about all my social media stuff and how all landing pages and all these different things that I'm going to create along with everything else. And then they go to that other agent and go, hey, how's your social media? How do you do this kind of things and stuff like that? And they're like, well, I kind of don't post and do these all kind of things. Who do you think they're going to go with? Right. Because I can say I have a network of thousands of realtors on my...
The first time when I started to try to date her, I never forget this one day. She'll still to this day deny it ever.
I don't think this is true.
It's hard to believe. So she had a 1.5-year-old, and she had called me up out of the blue, and she really wasn't speaking to me. And she goes, hey, would you like to come over? And I'm like, yes! I'd love to come over. So I rushed there at about 100 miles an hour and got there, and I'm not kidding, this is what she said.
I don't think it's true.
She goes, could you do me a favor? I'm like, anything for you, Angela. Look at that. That angelic face. And she goes, could you do me a favor and watch my son? I have a few errands to make.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true.
She doesn't remember what she had for lunch. All right? So here's the fact, guys. We met, we started dating, we started to work together, and we were broke. Guys, we were so broke that there was a point, I am not kidding, we were literally on our hands and knees going, Lord, with you guys. This stuff ain't working. My dad used to say to me all the time, look, go get a real job. This ain't working. And you know what? Quite honestly, it was discouraged. Did we have dreams? Absolutely. But it wasn't working. Why not? Why not? So in the midst of this failure, I said, look, maybe we got to make a move. Maybe we got to leave the company we're at. Maybe we just need to regroup the two of us and just pick up on what we know best. Look, we got two completely different backgrounds. This girl's got a double master's. I got a double nothing. The only thing I double is double down at the blackjack table. That's about it. But you know what? We work good together. So we left the company where we're at. And then I always say, it's by the grace of God, but it's instilling some stuff that we're going to tell you about today. We don't keep it a secret on what we do. But we went from being broke, guys, broke. I'm talking no money, in debt. And that next year, 2002, we left the company we're at, instilled what we thought would work. That next year, we sold in 2002, $12 million in real estate. 12 million. The following year, 17.5. The year after that, 22 million. The year after that, 40 million in real estate. We ran a team that sold over $80 million a year. It's more than most brokerages. Guys, yes, it's the grace of God, and it's pretty impressive. But there's a reason behind it. And we're going to share that with you today. Because that power of dreaming coupled with doing the right things, you as a human being is unstoppable.
So you're about to see some polar opposite stuff. He's really cool. Like, he's actually cool. I'm not. So what made us different? Why did we succeed? Let's start with having the right mindset. That is a hot dog.
I'm hungry.
That's a hot dog. And I'm going to make an argument, a really nerdy argument, that so many real estate agents are kind of like hot dogs. So what's a hot dog? A hot dog can be made with beef or chicken or pork, but it's not really made from the greatest parts of beef, chicken, or pork. It's made with dregs. Dregs are, by definition, the least valuable part of anything. So it's like the worst part of the pork, the worst part of the chicken, the worst part of the beef, throw in a bunch of other disgusting ingredients, smush it together, put some red dye in it, and you've got something that's worth nothing nutritionally.
Are you guys ready to have some hot dogs for dinner?
It's just nasty. And I will tell you that I believe that many real estate agents act like hot dogs. So what are the ingredients of a successful real estate agent? They have to prospect, which means you got to go out, look for people, meet them, find out if they're looking to buy or sell, and find out if they might work with you, right? So we have to prospect, we have to follow up with them so we get appointments, and from those appointments we hope that we list homes, write contracts, close homes, and make money, right? That's what we do. And if you just take prospecting, what are the kinds of ways you can go out there and meet people? You can meet people from open house, for sale by owners, expireds, door knocking, working your center of influence. And here's how most agents do it. I think I'll do a little bit of open house, a touch of door knocking, a dash of calling my center of influence, and I wonder why they're not making any money. They're hot dogs. They take the dregs of prospecting, they put it all together, mash it up, and hope that they're going to make money from it. So I was teaching a class. It wasn't too long ago. It was like a year or so ago. I had 30 people in my class, and the class was about how to become this great listing agent. It was like a 12-week class series, and I asked them one day, I said, and I want you to answer this in your mind, I asked them all, I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how dedicated are you to becoming successful in real estate? Like, how dedicated? 28 of them said 10. I'm a 10, that's how dedicated I am. 2 of them said I'm a 9, right? And then I asked a follow-up question. Somebody, please tell me, I want to find out the most robust prospecting schedule last week. Like, out of all 30 people, who had the most robust prospecting schedule last week? Here's what it was. The best. 5 hours of open house, 2 hours of door knocking, a couple of hours on the phone, they think responding to leads. And you're a 10 dedicated? That's like dregs, right? That's terrible. So I want to make an analogy. Let's make a good analogy about this. You have to have intention and focus in your business. So in our neighborhood, we live in Ocotillo, we often see kids doing lemonade stands, right? And normally, it's like on the Jacaranda Circle or whatever, they have a table out, they throw some lemonade out, and I, just for fun, Google lemonade stand. So if a kid was like, great, and they want to say, I want to make the best lemonade stand, what's their knowledge base? There were 5,600,000 entries related to a lemonade stand. Now, I don't pretend to think that a kid's going to go pore over all of these entries in Google, but the information is available, right? But here's what we experience. They shout out to passerbys, come on, get my lemonade. But here's what's happening. There's people walking, riding their bikes, rollerblading, or speeding by at 35 miles an hour. I don't know, but when I'm in my own version of Tour de France, I do not have quarters in my bike pants. I just don't. So it's unlikely that they're going to get a lot of interest in their lemonade unless their neighbors come or their parents come or whatever, right? And here's my point. One day, this kid shouts out to us. We were literally driving by, and the kid shouts out, why don't you stop? And stomps, like, bleh, like a little tantrum. Well, I'm going to tell you that that's how real estate agents are. They go and they say, I'm going to do an open house. And they get 3 signs, and they set them out, and They go in the house and they sit on the couch and they sit there for 2.5 hours. They were going to be there for 4. They sat there for 2.5 hours. Nobody came in and they stomp their feet and say, open houses don't work. That's a great analogy. Now, I'm going to be silly. Let's say this lemonade stand lady or kid had a mentor. The parent was like a business person, an entrepreneur, right? And said, here's what you got to do. You got to think about location. You got to think about the quality of your lemonade. Who's going to help you? What compelling message do you have? And let's pretend they set up a table at a park near a sporting event with lots of people and moms with purses. They have great lemonade and they put a big sign in front of their stand that says, help me buy a new bike. So are they going to do a little better? Well, I Googled open house the other day. There were 349 million entries related to open house. We have resources on how to do a great open house. You can take classes, you can prepare, but in your mindset as an agent, you need to be intentional and focus in your business. And that's one of the things that we really changed from when we were failures to when things started to turn around for us. We started actually thinking about our business and having a lot of intention. That's a duck right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Double masters right here. Double masters.
That's how she used to teach her kids. That's a duck.
That is a duck. So here's the funny thing about ducks, and I love this analogy because we have to prospect and it's not easy, it's hard. You got to get rhinoceros skin. But a duck has this preen gland that spreads oil all over its outer feathers. So that's why all the water rolls off the feathers. You can throw as much water at a duck as you can, and it'll always roll off because of that preen gland.
Who needs to watch National Geographic when you have Angela?
Well, I love this analogy. You guys have to be like ducks in your mindset. Now, I'm not talking about like Chuck said. It sounds like you're saying quack, 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 quack. Not that part. The oil roll off, that whole thing. When a client loses their mind about something and you've done your best and they blame you, you gotta let that stuff roll off. Your mindset has to be strong, and that's one of the things we started to get very good at. Take things personally, fail. Don't, and be professional. That's a part of your success. Another really good part of that is when you prospect, do you get more yeses or do you get more no's? No's. It's the nature of the business, but I talk to agent after agent after agent who get discouraged like that. You can't let those no's soak in. You have to be like the duck, and you have to let it roll off. And we got so good at that mindset, the way that you approach your business, the way you think about it. You have to be strong in those areas. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. There's this guy that we had. We were sitting in open house in Ahwatukee. It was a great break into the luxury market. We happened to get this listing that was like $725,000, and we sat it open. And when we say sat it open, it was like from the very beginning of the morning until it got dark, as often as we could. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a week.
You know, one of the things, guys, that we want to explain to you about being successful and meeting your dreams, dreams just don't come naturally. You got to put the work in. And I'm still amazed till this day. And if you ever sit through one of my classes, you know what I say. If you're sitting in open house and you're telling me you're sitting there from 10 to 2 or 12 to 4, where did you come up with that 4-hour concept? When we were broke, we were sitting open houses from 8 in the morning till 6, 7 at night, every weekend. That's what we were doing.
We were like, we had the right way. When we decided that we were going to have intensity and focus, it was like, all right, this is what we do. This is what we do. It changed everything. It changed everything. So we're sitting in this open house one day, and this guy walks in. We'll call him Mark, because that was his name. That was his name. And so,
let's call him by his name.
So he walks in. He spends like 20, 30 minutes in the house. And we kind of sucked, so we didn't really engage him well. He wasn't paying attention to us, but we could tell he was totally interested. And so he walked out the front door.
And nobody really taught us how to do real estate at the beginning of the first company. And he walks out the door. So what's the right thing for me to do? Yell at my wife for not getting the info.
Why'd you get the info? Why'd you get the info? Right?
So we're bickering back and forth. And then no sooner than maybe 2-3 hours later, Mark shows back up with his wife and kids. And I'm walking through the house, and walking through, and they're there for another 30 minutes. Once again, now here goes the family walking out the front door. And neither one of us gets their information.
So we held hands and cried. No, we didn't.
You just cried. You don't cry over there.
No.
So here's the part about something that I want you guys to understand. If you have a dream, how bad do you want to make it come to reality? We were broke. And there's a potential buyer. And it hit us. We did nothing about it. We froze. And she looks at me and she goes, well, then do something about it. So I did. I ran down the driveway. And as they were pulling away, I jumped in front of his car and I stopped his car.
Honest to God, he did this.
Put my hands on the hood of the car and I stopped his car. And they were just like in a state of panic. You got the kids in the back, they're crying. No. But I stopped the car and I said to him, why are you not buying this house? And he said to me, I can't afford this house. I said, how do you know? Let's try to make this work. Let's do something. You obviously came back here twice and you love the house. Here's the thing, guys. We sold them the house. We made it work. When you have a passion and you have a dream, nothing should stop you. Nothing. That's how you have to look at it. One of the biggest things I see out there, and the problem with the industry, and not just the real estate industry, with the world itself, is we don't embrace the process anymore. We don't embrace the process. Here, I'm going to give you some scenarios. How many of you guys love going out in 100 degrees and go door knock for hours to complete strangers? How many of you love that? How many of you love, I know Don, I know you do. How many of you love doing open houses on the weekend when your kids have events or your family's out having fun and picnicking and you're going to go do an open house? No, not for 4 hours, no, not for 5. Do it for 8 hours with the guarantee that nobody ever might not show up. How many of you love that idea? How about this scenario? Out of the blue, somebody calls you up that you know. They're looking to buy a $500,000 house. They're cash buyers. They're easy to work with. There's a lot on the market. All the houses that are in that price range are priced right. And here's the kicker. And every one of those agents is polite and nice and know what they're doing. And they answer the phone. Here's the thing.
You wake up. Is that what you said?
Then you wake up. But here's the problem. The process. We go, oh, we love that one. We don't like those other two. Those other two are the reality. The last one's not reality. It's not the process. You guys don't embrace the process. Could you imagine telling Tom Brady, Tom Brady shows up to practice after he wins his stuff, and he goes in and goes, you know what, coach? I just don't feel like throwing the ball in practice. Why do I gotta constantly throw the ball? Because that's what you do. That's what makes you good. Doing the routine stuff, the mundane stuff, over and over and over without a guarantee. That's one of the biggest traits you can have by embracing the process. I had an agent, a new agent, come up to me once. Her first transaction. The most difficult clients, in her mind, that you could ever have. Tough transaction. Really difficult. Hard. And here's what she said to me. She goes, all excited. She goes, I'm glad I got the tough one out of the way at the beginning. I'm like, sweet girl, you have no idea. Do you see the mindset? So when Angela says, so do you want to be in real estate? We're getting in for reasons that are fictitious. And you don't know what the process is. Here's the sad part. It's not only do you not embrace the process, some of you have no idea what the process even is. It's crazy when you think about it. And I believe in this society, it's getting harder and harder and harder. No, not because the opportunities aren't there. It's because we live in a culture that brainwashes us. And if you don't see results right away, give up. Here, look at the marketing out there. Oh, you don't feel good? You have a sickness? Here's a pill for it. Oh, I watched this other one. Oh, you want to get in shape and you don't have the time? We've got a machine that takes 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. They're probably selling a ton of them. How about Pizza Hut? Hey, we can have a pizza delivered in 15 minutes. And right here's the kicker. And we have an app to track it. Because if you're really stressed out in that 15 minutes, you know exactly where they're at and when it'll be delivered. That's the society we live in. It's brainwashing us so that when we don't see results right away from what we do, we give up. Well, that doesn't work. Could you imagine telling a farmer 100 years ago, I love the quote, it's even scripture, you reap what you sow. Could you imagine a farmer 100 years ago planting seeds, so he gets the ground all ready, so it's just like you in real estate, we're getting all ready, we're preparing. And then they plant some seeds. Could you imagine a farmer in 3 days going out and go, where's the crops? Where are they? Damn seeds don't work. So you look at them and go, that's pretty stupid. That's how you guys run your business. That's what you do in your business. You don't embrace the process. If you don't get results right away, you give up and you say, that doesn't work. Or if you don't feel like putting the time and effort, you go, that stuff doesn't work. You just recently had an agent say to you, complaining that he wasn't having the business, and he says, well, do you do open houses? Do you door knock?
That's right. So just to give you an example, when we decided, you know what, call to action works. Somebody told us it works. It makes sense it's going to work. So we flyered 600 to 1,000 flyers a week, every week for 1.5 years. And did it work? Yeah.
In 120 degrees.
We didn't care.
If you guys are broke, and you're struggling, and you said, you can Chuck, it's going to be 120. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? That's what you have to come down to. Embrace the process, and you will change the way you do business. And that goes for any business.
So the first thing that we wanted to talk to you is it's just a little bit. There's so much more to say about mindset, but your mindset is super important. The other thing we want to talk to you today is about it really matters who you surround yourself with. It really, really, really matters. We learned this fairly quickly. So here's my nerdy side. Guess who this is? This is Master Oogway. Master Oogway is an elderly tortoise in the Kung Fu Panda movies.
That speaks, right?
Yeah, and in the movie, he's credited with being the creator of Kung Fu and the developer of the Dragon Warrior legend. I know you guys are like, ooh, way. So he's known for his wisdom, knowledge, experience, and he shared it with all of his pupils, and he helped people. Well, not really. He helped a tiger, a crane, a praying mantis, a viper, a monkey, and a panda, right? So he was a leader who helped people. And here's Mr. Miyagi. So Mr. Miyagi, some of you youngins don't know who he is. He's the lead character of the movie Karate Kid, like the first one, right? And he's an unassuming handyman who, oh, by the way, is like this master of Kung Fu. And he helps the other guy, Daniel, who's getting bullied. He trains him, wax on, wax off, and he defeats Cobra Kai. And he's like this. Here's the thing. When we first started real estate, honestly, we had no Master Oogway. We had no Mr. Miyagi. We did not seek out people who were way better than us to help us to go to a new level. We didn't do it. We had each other, which was a blessing because you should have heard the conversations we had to build each other up. Like, he will admit that he was working harder to impress me. I will admit that I was working harder to impress him, so we had that. But we never sought out like-minded people in the beginning to inspire us, hold us accountable, to lift us up. And here's the other problem. We let this get in the way. Energy-sucking vampires. Energy-sucking vampires. We allowed people.
Painful.
It was.
Wow.
The blood-sucking kind. Do you know there's all websites? There's like whole websites that people actually believe vampires exist. I'm not kidding. Go Google it. It's the nuttiest thing. And I don't know about the blood-sucking, love the night, always young kind of vampires, but energy-sucking vampires exist. And here's what they look like. How do you identify one? They love to gossip. According to them, the market is always bad or hard. When they prospect, if they prospect, no one is ever looking to buy or sell. They will complain about the cross-sale agent. They'll complain about their client, their office. They just complain about everything. They never are to blame. They are not the problem. It's always someone else or something else. Excuses are a part of their everyday life, and sometimes they smile the whole time. So you can't just judge by their face. So we had a client once, his name is Steve, and guess why I call him Steve?
What was his name?
That was his name, yeah. So Steve, we met him and his wife, we helped them buy a house, and he was an energy-sucking vampire. It was terrible. He drained the life out of us. And so we finally sold him the house, we closed it, and we're like, we are never going to work with that client again, ever. He was horrible. And that's the kind of decision you need to make. So 3 or 4 years later, guess who calls us? Steve. And I'm like, Steve called, he wants to sell his house. I kind of remember he was hard.
No, that's not how it works. Remember Angela, who remembers everything? At least she says,
I don't remember anything.
She actually said, oh great, Steve called, they want to sell this home. I go, don't you remember those guys sucked? Sucked the life out of you? No.
Were they really that bad? I don't think they were that bad.
Yeah.
So we listened to their house.
And it was
so we listened to their house, and it was worse. It was worse. This man actually got in my husband's face like this. You don't do nothing. Nothing.
It took every bit of me to having my old self come out. Every bit of me.
You have to not
I sat there praying,
seriously.
Jesus, just take this away from me.
Right. It was so bad. So you have to. It's critical. If you think this stuff doesn't matter, it does. And as we matured in our business, we got better at two things. Surrounding ourselves with fantastic people and getting rid of the energy-sucking vampires. Now, I'm not saying that you occasionally let somebody in for a minute, because sometimes somebody needs your help. And you help them through a transaction, or you help them for a season in your life, but you cannot keep them around you. Because you are, as Jim Rohn says, right, the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Guys, that has so much truth. I really can't overemphasize it. I think we as society are really losing sight of that, because we are more connected now than ever before in history, but yet we're the least connected now. So don't mistake connection with relationships. There's a big difference. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not telling you maybe you should surround yourself with good people, or you oughta. If you're not hitting your dreams, it is necessary to hang around the right people. You need to hang around people that are hungry. Not for food, because I'm always hungry, but hungry for success, that are unstoppable, that are dreamers, people that are picking you up. Energy. It's necessary to be around those type of people. It's life-changing. And that's what we did. Because I'm going to tell you, when you hang around victims, you become a victim. There's no question about it.
It's like when you're in your old life. The people.
You get sucked into the world. You don't even realize it's happening. You know when you realize it's happening? When you're not where you want to be in your life. What you guys need to do is need to be around achievers, about people that are pushing the limits, about people that are going to pick you up. And if you're not achieving your dreams right now, here's the number one question you need to ask. Who are you surrounding yourself with? That's what I don't want you to do. Don't go home with your spouse. If I was at the seminar, I think we need a divorce. I'm saying, change that. But guys, it's so important to be around like-minded people. Because that's not the norm anymore. It's not what's happening out there. It is huge. And you know, one of the things that hits me the most, that I can see it the most, and I'm not saying this to put anybody down, but I get so in the zone now to be positive, energetic, visionary, dreaming, that when I'm around negative people, I physically can't be around them. It's not that I don't want to be around them. I physically can't be around them. It just drains me. I believe in that. I believe in that with all my heart. Or better yet, if you're an agent out there, and there's nobody around, you better get around people. This is a tough world. This is a tough business. That's a big deal. So when people say, I don't need to go there, I don't need to get trained, I don't need to go in the office, and then you look at your numbers, here's what I'm going to tell you. Yes, you do. That's way more important than you think. It's just being around like-minded people. So guys, to sum up this whole event that James put on, and we're so blessed to be a part of. Dream. Dream big. Just keep dreaming and go after it. And understand that it's a hard journey. There's no such thing as making your dreams and making it easy. It's a hard journey. Do you want it bad enough? Go after it. It wasn't easy for us to sit open houses day after day, weekend after weekend with no results, knowing that there's a better thing. It's hard. It's hard door knocking day after day with nothing and no leads and no prospects. But don't give up. That was hard for us. It's hard. We don't sugarcoat nothing. What we achieved, we were one of the top producing agents in the country from going from broke. We ran one of the top teams in the country. We run one of the top real estate offices in the country. We run one of the top real estate schools in the country. We built one of the most incredible real estate buildings ever seen. And we were broke.